One, two, thank you. Proper modulation. Proper modulation. Proper modulation. Green. Type. Fifth tube. Green tube. Proper modulation. Proper modulation. Proper modulation. Proper modulation. Testing, testing. One, two, testing, testing. One, two, proper modulation. Proper modulation. As you will know, proper modulation is required. It is required. As you will know, proper modulation is required. It is required. Proper modulation.
I will become master of the universe. I will become master of the universe. I will become master of the universe.
My extremities pulsating with tingling sensation.
I will become master of the universe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream here at the Big Picture. Thank you for coming. This is one episode that has been long awaited, and it's here by popular demand for the most part, and because it was kind of inevitable anyway. We're going to get to this subject. I decided to get to it sooner rather than later because of its importance. All right, and so once again, we have the one and only Mr. Bennett joining me. We have OG J Speed still learning, as he says. I mean, in his infinite wisdom. And you have me, your host and owner of this here channel. And in the chat, we have Ine. Hey, Ine, how you doing? Thank you for coming. All right. And she says hello to all of us up here too. Okay, today is going to be on nutrition because nutrition, it's 85% of the process of whether you want to lose weight or get fit or become a bodybuilder, anything you want to do with your body. Nutrition is probably irrefutably really the most important part of it. So I have me. I'm on the tail end of Generation X. Mr. Bennett is from an earlier version of Generation X. He was a prototype. Me, I was the mastered version. Okay. So J Speed, I mean, he was around since when they invented the wheel. So we have knowledge from three separate generations. Okay. That's the significance of these guys being here. Plus, they add tremendous value to this program and to this channel. So we're going to put our collective minds together and give you accurate information about nutrition because there's a lot of white noise out there. You guys look on the internet, you go to any fitness YouTube channel and you hear the same person say one thing in one video and then a year later he says something the exact opposite, which is ridiculous. You know what I mean? With no basis, no science, nothing to it. But then you got doctors saying you need this and the other, but then you have people with like Dr. Sebi who goes with a more holistic approach, you know what I mean, and clears people right up. Clears people right up, you know what I mean? So there's clearly something to it. Gentlemen, go ahead and introduce yourselves. I thought we'd start with vegetables today. Plants and vegetables, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And how important that is. So I do have a video here. It's a pretty lengthy one. It's about 2 minutes. So I was going to play that and ask you guys what y'all think of the material. You know what I mean? Because this is more modern science. You know what I mean? And the things they've come up with today, a lot of stuff they still haven't come up with a definitive answer. That was my surprise. You know what I'm saying? So check this out.
One of the biggest talking points against plant-based diets is going to be tooth decay. But the problem I've always had with this narrative is the fact that there are so many different plant-based diets, right? You have vegan, vegetarian, lacto-vegetarian, ovo-vegetarian, lacto-ovo-vegetarian, pescatarian. There are even raw vegans that won't heat their food above a certain temperature. And then on top of that, the sheer variety of fruits and vegetables means that two different vegetarians could be eating completely different diets, each with their own acidity levels, and still are both considered vegetarian. I mean, if you're on the all-lemon diet, which sounds terrible, obviously you're going to have more acidity in your diet than you would if you were eating more alkaline fruits and vegetables. Now, with that said, studies have shown that vegetarians are likely to experience more tooth decay when compared to non-vegetarians. The studies have also shown that raw vegans have no increased risk for tooth decay when you compare them to carnivores and omnivores. And then on top of that, when you look at human ancestors or the teeth of human ancestors, you're still going to find some cavities, you'll still find some tooth decay, but nowhere near the levels that we see today, even with all of our available oral care. And some experts have even gone on the record stating that human ancestors had essentially immaculate teeth. But the thing that's lacking from all of these studies is context, right? It's like we don't know what type of vegetarian or vegan or omnivore or carnivore diet. We don't know their type of oral care, right? How many are flossing, but what's their technique with flossing? Because even if the study says, oh yeah, they were flossing, but what was their flossing like? Were they using mouthwash? Were they using an electric toothbrush, right? There's all these little nuance matters. And it always bugs me that when you look at a lot of these studies, that a lot of that nuance is just pushed out, and then we're supposed to draw some kind of conclusive conclusion.
Yeah, you see kind of the point. You automatically kind of see the point of me playing that video, right? How they're saying, like, you know, you hear all these rumors about this diet, that diet, and people hear information about vegan diets, and then people say, well, that's not really vegan. You have to be this kind of vegan or that kind of vegan. You know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, but it gets too convoluted. So, gentlemen, what do you guys think of what the doctor said?
Well, I think it's definitely confusing, given I think part of it is due to the diversity of the human population worldwide. There's so many different climates. There's so many different environments that people live in, and there's going to be places where certain foodstuffs are not going to be available. It's only over the past couple hundred years where you started having sort of human beings crossing each other, bringing their foodstuffs together, and we were able to see what effects that's having on the body. So, for example, I mean, for me, the fruits and vegetables conversation is almost irrelevant for the Inuit Native American populations, because they can't grow vegetables. You can't grow vegetables in Arctic areas. So where they're getting their fruits and vegetables from, they're not. There's mostly a protein, fish-based, fat-based diet that they consumed on. It's interesting because I remember reading some literature on when Europeans first interacted with the Inuit Eskimo people, and how their diets as well as their health was wrecked by that interaction, because that was the first time you were introducing a lot of grain stuffs and different products that their metabolisms have essentially evolved to eat. A lot of them simply just couldn't handle it, and it did a lot of metabolic damage to them. So again, how can you compare again an Inuit, or what we used to call Eskimo person, versus someone from sub-Saharan Africa in a desert environment? There has to be some adaptation for their living conditions, and their metabolism adapt to the foodstuffs that's available and optimize them. I mean, the body is incredibly adaptable based on the conditions that it can live under. So when it comes to people being almost to a religious fervor about the diets that they undertake or what's ideal, and he just listed within the vegetarian spectrum all these different ways of people looking at diets. It can be, when you're trying to introduce this in mass to a large population, it is going to be confusing, and some people are going to exaggerate some of the health benefits from engaging in some of these diets, so it's a confusing marketplace, because again, humanity has been exposed to a variety of things. I think we're naturally omnivorous for a reason, and that there's a lot of different things that we can take into our bodies, and so I don't think you're never going to quite come to a right answer. even when I speak on the subject, I talk about in general macro terms, what macros do, what certain supplements may have been shown to do. But is there like a quote unquote perfect diet for people? I haven't found one yet. So these conversations always go, you're going to find something that's worked for someone. And especially when it comes to life extension, you still haven't really been able to show me yet that even all these things that we're doing diet-wise, is it leading to longer longevity of the human animal? The average lifespan is still going to be in the 70s and 80s, and if you get past 80, you consider yourself fortunate. So we're still looking for the thing that's going to make us live to be 200, but we haven't found it yet, at least not through diet anyway. So that's my general approach to the subject, and but definitely looking forward to deepening this conversation.
Yeah, definitely. And J Speed, you gonna what do you think of the video?
Well, I narrowed it down. If you want something to be confusing, just leave it up to the white man. No. I have tried most of the diets that he's talking about, but I just stick with one thing. Either you eating vegetables and you're a vegetarian, that's it. That consider fruits and everything, because I consider all that vegetables. And in every vegetables, you gonna have seeds or some kind of fruit or flower on it. So just like I say, if you ever want something to be confusing, leave it to the white man. He was talking about flossing, teeth, all that.
Yeah, because he was saying that because there's rumors about people who are on a plant-based diet or all plant diet. It does damage to the teeth, and he just showed you, like, even people from back in the day, all they had to eat were vegetables. That wasn't the case, and they didn't brush or floss. You know what I mean? So
And, not everyone. Like I said earlier, it
depends on where depends on where they were in the world.
Yeah, but if they was flossing with their girlfriend, G-string, I mean, these things can decay the teeth. But other than that, I just say it's. I think y'all said something very important. I think Mr. Bennett said something very important. It's where you regionally, your geographic area that you're in, that it plays a effect to it, because let's just take us. We're equator people, and we're sun people. So when you come down to that factor that most of us now live in four seasoners, and people say California is not four seasons, but it is. But we have 2 seasons in 24 hours. In the daytime is one, your temperature is one thing, and then at nighttime it get real cold. Because people don't understand we living in the desert, even though we're on the coast, but we're in the desert. So we living in 2 seasons within 24 hours. So that really comes down to a lot of that, because a lot of us eat a lot of food out of season, regardless if it is vegetables or it is, we eat stuff from other continents or other places that we shouldn't be eating because we want to acquire that taste. You know what I mean? We should be eating stuff in the season or the region we're in.
Right. I mean, and they're gonna get more into that as well. Well, some videos will. I was gonna talk about dairy, but I already got seven videos queued up. We just played one. And I was like, that's gonna be too much. You know what I mean? But so I figured we just tell people about dairy. The reason why some people are lactose intolerant and some people are not is because of adaptation. Like farmers on farms, they're not lactose intolerant because they grew up drinking the milk. And after generation, their stomachs and their enzymes and the microbiomes adapted to digesting milk from a cow. So that's why they're not lactose intolerant. That's why the vast majority of people are, though, unless you grew up on a farm of some sort. And you see more lactose intolerant people up in Eastern Europe, where they, had goats and some had cows, and they had livestock, and they would drink the milk from them. But yeah, even when we pasteurize milk here, my sister and I, we haven't drank milk in a long time. I'm talking about many, many years. Like when she and I both found out that how much pus is allowed to be in milk, even by American standards, it's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not drinking that anymore. But
Yeah, but man, go ahead.
I was gonna go get to the second video. It's about
Okay,
vegetables.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
What you just said. Reason why most people are lactose intolerant is because we are not cows.
Right.
I haven't seen anybody be lactose when it comes to breast milk. A baby don't, you understand what I'm saying? When they're drinking breast milk, they don't have the same effect. I would like to see what would happen if you gave cow breast milk. What do we call that? Titty lactose? What we call that? If the cow couldn't drink breast milk from a woman, Manuel.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just asking. I mean, we come up with Mr. Bennett. We come up with
but
we can't drink.
No, but the thing is, a calf is like I think a calf is over 100 pounds. It's like close to 100 pounds when it's first born, right?
I'm not saying that it won't suck it to so dry. Look like
no, but my point
is,
it's milk. Yeah, it's milk from a cow. That milk is designed for that calf to grow up into a bull or a heifer, right? Yeah. Something that's hundreds of pounds heavy and powerful. You're a human being. That's not for you. You know what I mean? You're not a cow. You're not a bull. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
that's what we acting like animals, because we drinking.
Right. Because
but are you applying this across the board? Like again, there's other livestock. There's goats and
right.
Milk. I mean, there's all types of substances from these animals that humans have consumed over thousands of years. So it's and then when you take into the account the pasteurization process or the homogenization of these products, again, I don't know what it's like to drink milk from the udder. I've never had that. I don't know what that's like, and I don't know if you get the similar benefits or do you still get the same lactose issues drinking milk directly from the cow, especially if it's grass fed and non pumped with the steroids or what have you. So I don't know if that makes a difference as well, but I know humanity has used livestock animals, goats, camels, cows, etc., their milk products for sustenance for some time. And quite frankly, I only really heard about lactose intolerance really in the last 40, 50 years. I think when I was a kid, we never talked about lactose intolerance or what it was. So I'm not sure, what changed possibly in the food supply, why now it's like so many people are. But I can certainly speak for, my parents are from Georgia. They grew up on a farm, and no one ever talked about lactose intolerance and not able to eat certain things. I get actually, bloating from eating more vegetables than I do from milk, although I don't drink a lot of milk, but certain vegetables will bloat me like to no end. I'm not able to digest those. So I think, so really there's a lot of complexities there given how milk is processed today versus these other sources, like maybe goat's milk might be better or some sort of, other food stuffs that come from these animals can be beneficial, but I'm not sure.
Right. And Miss Gold Girl says, by the way, shout out to Miss Gold Girl. Hello, Miss Gold Girl. Thank you for coming. Thank you. And let me get to the chat right after this. How about if you weren't always lactose intolerant and then develop that intolerance over time? It depends on how your body is developing and maturing over time. Like I wasn't always lactose intolerant. I was lactose intolerant at one point. The doctor said, but he didn't call it lactose intolerant. He said I was allergic to milk. He just called it that because I don't think the word was around at that time, really heavy in the medical arena. But he said I was allergic to milk. He says just stop eating and then stop consuming dairy. My mom's like, oh, okay, then cool, right? So, but then you get an adult, you get a cheeseburger, nothing happens. Eat some ice cream, nothing happens. You know what I mean? And when I was a kid growing up, I wasn't allergic to milk. But then something happened during puberty when my body was going through the changes. It just did not like cow milk. It just did not. You know what I mean? I wouldn't get sick it was just weird stuff that happened to my body. I'd break out and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah,
Well, maybe
I don't know what's going on. But then,
maybe it took your body that many years to figure out it wasn't a cow. So if you really think about this, all right, we do this with sodas with acid reflux. A lot of acid reflux is due to the fact that people drink too many sodas. They don't start off that way, but later on in their years, as they drink it and they lining of their stomach and stuff get thinner and it start breaking holes, because we know what acid does to your inner digestive system. So, I mean, we can look at it one way, but I do know my one uncle was born and he didn't do but goat's milk, and his name was Trickman Norris. He was a boxer.
Trickman Norris.
It did made his head hard. All right, it did made his head hard, and when he got his license for his boxing, not only could he not use his fist, but he couldn't hit but in 49 states in America.
Okay, shout out to Trickman Norris. Let me get to the chat. Yeah, let me get to the chat. TTR, thank you for coming. Listen Vibes, thank you. World Class, welcome, as always. Scam Likely, thanks for coming, man. He says most people are vegetables but won't eat vegetables. Yeah, most people are vegetables, won't eat. The Travel One says a healthy mindset is necessary. And Travel One, thank you for coming and supporting the platform. Thank you very much. Ms. Gold Grill again, shout out to you. Harris Tribe Media. Doors always open. Thank you very much. Peace family, salute to Drilly Panel and chat. Thank you for coming. So all right, who else we got here? Dino Dinosaur. Thank you. Let's see. Okay. So I got another video. It's a continuation after that one. It's not as long, but check this out.
I think this is all pretty intuitive. It's not really all that surprising. If someone is eating a ton of fruit, right, and a lot of it, and they're having a lot of citrus in there, there's a lot of acid in their diet, regardless if they're omnivore or vegetarian or vegan, but they're not taking good care of their teeth, of course, they're likely to experience more tooth decay. But if you're taking good care of your teeth and still eating that way, more than likely, you're not going to experience as much tooth decay. Context matters.
Yeah, he was saying if you're eating a lot of acidic fruits, you know what I mean, depending on what kind of vegetarian diet. Like they said in the first video, that there are some people who are vegetarians and vegans, but they cook the food. Some vegans don't cook the food at a certain temperature, you know what I mean? And people on raw plant diets. But if you're eating a lot of acidic fruits and vegetables and you're not taking good care of your teeth, yes, your teeth are going to rot. Of course they are. But and so that this dispels the rumor that plant-based diets ruin your teeth. That's a myth, people. So on to the next one.
There are some out there that claim that certain plant defense chemicals do far more harm than good when consumed by humans. But based on the available literature that I've read, I just don't see this being the case. You see, humans are extremely good at adapting. We've adapted to nearly every environment on this entire planet. And that also means we're good at adapting to eating and consuming different food sources. Now, there are certain plants that we definitely don't want to touch. We avoid them at all costs. Like poison ivy immediately comes to mind. But condemning broccoli, because when you chew it, it activates sulforaphane, and sulforaphane, some believe, has been shown to cause thyroid problems. To me, that just doesn't reflect reality, nor does it reflect what's in the available literature.
All right, and there you have it. There's no literature supporting the claim that broccoli causes thyroid problems, J-Speed. So anyway, now what do you think of this, J-Speed? You can unmute yourself, sir.
I never did say broccoli give you arthritis. I never.
Yeah, I didn't say it either.
Okay, so now you feel.
I said thyroid. It didn't cause thyroid.
You know how I feel. Now you know how I feel when somebody say you said something you didn't.
You said that broccoli, we shouldn't eat broccoli because
I'm
it's
saying I know
it's a crossbreed.
we gonna
It's a
get
hybrid
into.
plant.
I hope we can get into that because all vegetables, um, just like everything else, has been tampered with. And I think Mr. Bennett was onto something earlier when he was saying, back in the day, the cows was grass fed versus all these chemicals and steroids they giving cows now, so they can
And meat.
produce meat faster. And meat and chicken, some
Yeah,
chickens
they're
don't even
feeding
have
like
heads.
cows meat nowadays. You know that,
Yeah,
right?
so yeah,
Oh,
Instead of
wow.
plants.
No, I
Yeah,
thought
their feet.
you didn't.
so.
Yeah,
The grain.
the
I thought it
cows.
was grain fed and grass fed. I didn't hear about the meat
No,
part.
his thing in these big
Right.
where they in these big factories, where after they butcher the bulls and the cows for meat, what's left over they
Yeah.
grind up and
Right.
they
Oh, and
feed
they make into
their
some sort
feed.
of feed.
It's
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
it's some kind of paste, and then they feed that to the cows.
Right.
So
And so when we get into hybrids, um, you don't have to be a rocket science, but most people are not have been on a farm or raised on a farm, or some people just scared to go in the woods. They think something is in there, but most of the time there is something in there. But most of the time it won't hurt you. But hybrids are things that have been put into laboratories and splice this and splice this. And that's everything from the things you eat and consume and weed itself. Most people are not smoking weed today. They're smoking crack. Because it's been tampered with. Yes, the weed that you're smoking today from your pharmaceutical places comes from a mad scientist. And most of 98% of it is crack because it's not a natural form. And so that's the same way as food. There have never been able to find a wild chicken in the wild unless it, ran off the farm or something like that. But they have never been able to isolate anywhere where a chicken came from or a cow. Let's just be honest now. So we got hybrid food that we eat and we have consumed for hundreds of years. But what I'm saying is your body adapt to these things, but we need to stay close to things in their natural form.
gotcha. And to answer this question, almonds don't produce milk. I'm sure she knows that. They're just in the chat, having fun. But yeah, for people out there who don't know, when they think about here coconut milk and almond milk and oat milk and things like that, it's not actually milk. It's really just juice. I mean, it's just they just give it the name milk as a milk sub. It's
And
a
even that,
marketing thing.
and it's mostly water. I mean,
Right.
Really nothing. There's nothing in it. I mean, me and a friend of mine who's a vegan, we were debating over almond milk. And I was just saying, just look at the ingredients on the list. I mean, there's virtually nothing in it. There's no protein. For example, if you ate like just a handful of almonds, that's about 9 grams of protein. But if you drink an 8-ounce glass of almond milk, there's virtually no protein in it at all. And then they fortify it. They put supplemental vitamin D in it. They put all these extras in it, but it's just a filler for anything else you're going to be drinking.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Eat the.
Has Trash says I don't drink nobody milk. But you're right. They just basically take water
There you go.
and they put vitamins in it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. That's what almond milk is. They take water and put vitamins in it, and there you go.
Because they want to call everything milk. They call sperm milk. I call it the juices of life. I never have called it milk. But some people do call it milk. I mean, you put milk on anything. So, but
I'm actually
Goes-
has it, and it's I'm not trying to go exactly where J Speed is going, but why no one has had a mass market. Actually, I did see a campaign at one point that the mass market for human milk as a shelf stable product on the market. But shockingly, with everyone saying, regular milk is bad for you and all these almond milks are bad. If the best milk for you is human milk, then somebody creates a business where you just package it and store it, and you can just go into the supermarket and just buy it off the shelf or whatever. But no one's been able to
Because
mass produce that idea.
but no, they made it against the law.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, look it up right now.
I
It's
saw I
against the
saw I
law.
saw some campaigns that people. I remember some early online
I remember
retailers.
that. I remember
They
that
were trying to
too.
sell
They're trying to
some
sell some
human breast milk
human breast milk.
and
Yeah.
saying, "Look, it's got all the stuff, but for like I said, for not just for babies, but for adult consumption because they said all the other milks were bad." But I did not know they banned that. That's
Yeah,
They
yeah, they
did. They
banned.
they
I
got in the way
mean,
of
you
that.
can sell cow breast milk, but you can't sell human milk, and it's against the law. And there's been some people. There's an underground market for weightlifters. That there
yeah,
is. There's an
you're right. You're right.
underground
Yeah,
for weightlifters.
that's
There's an
how I'm seeing
underground
it. You're
market.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely right. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Travel One
But
says
I mean,
people are
you
huh?
don't want to be drinking post dated breast milk. I mean, you just don't want it. I mean, you got to take that straight off the fountain. You know what I mean? I mean,
But what if you pasteurize and homogenize it and then you put it into that frozen package there to preserve it for? If you keep it if you keep it freezer shelf life, you should be able to just pull it out of the freezer, let it defrost, and it's good for a day or two. Then
yeah, but I think it's much better if you get it straight from the fountain. I mean, but I know they got a law against that too, because you're selling something they consider a sexual tool to get your resources.
look, these days, look in this capitalist country, if you can make money on it and get tax dollars for it, I'm surprised they didn't push for that. And you
I
make
guess
money off of everything.
I guess if somebody ever come up with a good recipe for ice cream for breast milk, they probably can get that legislated into the state.
Cool. But anyway, Travel One says people are gluttons. What is a reasonable amount of food to consume? They don't want to hear it.
Great question.
Well,
That's a great question.
yeah, that's a great question. However, Harris Strauss says I can't agree with that. They supersize everything and put extra cheese and bacon on it. Just gluttonous. That's true. Both statements are true here. You know what I'm saying? They do. They supersize everything.
Especially, I mean, I've heard from every foreign person that I've ever encountered, and they say that's the biggest thing when it comes to the U.S. That's the one thing that shocks us more than anything else.
How much the portion size of the food?
When you go out to eat or whatever, it's just off the chain. They just don't have, they just don't have that in these other countries. It's not there.
The world class says I ain't drink milk from light skinned people's houses. Think about it. Light skinned people, skim milk. Skin milk. Not risking it. Fair enough. Okay. All right. I got another video here. Let's see. That was the third one. This is the fourth one. Here we go.
Plants come with fiber, and that fiber can either be fermentable or non-fermentable. If it's non-fermentable, basically it'll go through your digestive system kind of like a broom, helping to clean out leftover digested material and helps keep you regular. But fermentable fiber can be broken down by microbes. And what that does is it causes those microbes to thrive. And then when they thrive, they produce byproducts that can be good for you, such as improving your immune system, as well as maybe even creating like vitamin K, for example. So research has shown that a healthy and robust gut microbiota and microbiome helps protect you against potential pathogens and digestive agitators. So the fiber you get from broccoli is actually going to be different than the fiber you get from a carrot. And there are specific microbial species that prefer the broccoli fiber over the carrot fiber. And they each give their own byproduct, meaning each of them are beneficial to you in their own unique way. By cutting fermentable fiber out of your diet, you are causing entire microbial species to starve and in some cases become extinct, meaning you lose their beneficial byproducts. Look.
Yes. So there you go, old man. Okay. This is why I eat broccoli and cauliflower. This is why I eat hybrid plants. Okay. Because the microbiomes, some of them like carrots, some of them like broccoli, some of them like spinach, some of them like romaine lettuce. You know what I mean? Some of them like onions. And by depriving yourself of those, you starve them out and they die off.
But there was a fibrous. See, carrots has always been sort of a gray area for me in that is that a fibrous plant or is it a starch? So again, if you're talking about the starches are going to be mostly sugars that's going to be different. When it's about fibrous fruits and vegetables, you talk about, again, the dark leafy vegetables and whatnot, and not necessarily the conifers. So, so again, that might be good for people to look up. Okay, what is considered a fibrous fruits and vegetable, and what is a starch, and how do you distinguish between the two? Same thing, just going back to an early video you were talking about as far as the fruits and vegetables, the acidic properties of fruits and vegetables, but not every fruit or vegetable is acidic. Like limes, for example, those are actually alkaline. They actually go the other way. You need a certain, we always talk about this pH balance that we want to have in the body. They talk about 7 is considered base in the body. So you want to eat some foods, some fruits and vegetables that are actually going to increase or reduce your acidity, and some are going to increase it. And the thing is, both of them are going to be necessary. Like, for example, your gut, you actually want your gut to be acidic, because that's how you break down, and that's how your body digests and gets those things out out of your system. But then you don't want your skin, you don't want your outer body to be excess. So you're going to need a balance. So also eating, to the earlier question about the amount of food, eating too much of something, even if it's good for you, you could be giving your body an overabundance of acids or an overabundance of alkalinity, and you need to be able to have that balance between the two. But definitely, your microbiome and keeping that healthy, and that's how it's like if it's good if it feeds your natural flora. That's why one of the reasons I take probiotics. That's to help feed that healthy gut area. I do that, but I don't get necessarily benefits. Like I said, broccoli. I love just taking raw broccoli, just crunchy broccoli. I love the crunch on it. I love this. But if I have too much, my stomach, I blow it out like a pregnant woman. I just can't handle large quantities of it. But certainly, so sometimes taking the probiotics, sometimes it's a way for me to get the benefits that I want for my microbiome without the bloating, because my body simply just can't digest it the way it's supposed to.
I don't know what I miss.
You missed when the guy proved you wrong. Okay, it's okay to eat broccoli.
Okay, so again, I mean, people can eat whatever they eat, and just like I say, humans adapt. But I had 2 clients come in, but he ain't proven me. Nobody looked that funny can ever prove me that wrong. I mean, he's about 3 butter biscuits from losing all his hair. I think he lost most of his hair. But anyway, at a younger age, Mr. Bennett have a reason to lose our hair, because we but he's too young to be lost all his hair. So let him keep on eating broccoli, and he go look just like the stem and the root that he. But I'm just be honest, and I hope we get deeper into hybrids versus natural God, what I call God food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then you see, that's what you can't prove wrong. See, everything that God, like fruit, it has a seed. Everything man-made, it don't have seeds. And matter of fact, they don't want it. They genetic modified to not have seeds, because they don't want you to reproduce it. So when you dealing with stuff like, I don't eat grapes unless they have seeds. As a matter of fact, there are still places that have grapes and raisins that have seeds in it. Now, some people.
Why are you eating raisins?
Listen to what I just said.
Ugh.
There's a reason. Like when you get your kelp, like you having a kelp salad. Kelp is kind of like, it has that dry, bitter taste sometimes. And when you add raisins to it and the apples to it, it makes a better salad.
Yeah. You put raisins in a, you know what? You're old. That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. Hey,
Mr. Bennett know what I'm talking about.
I've done that before. Dried cranberries.
Right.
I've used those as
I'm
well.
I'm not talking about the more wet raisin that you be eating.
I don't eat raisins.
I'm talking about real dry raisins.
I bet you are.
No, it's gonna give you a substance. We'll give you that substance, and go give you that texture, and it gives you that chew. You know what I mean? Because,
no,
Mandrell, I have been talking to you on the phone while you was eating. You 1, 2, 3 swallow. 1, 2, 3 swallow. 1, 2, 3 swallow. See, I I can't
He's not
even get
chewing 26
you know,
times.
No, why
You know,
I mean,
26
1, 2, 3,
times.
swallow. I mean, his throat goes out like a frog when he's eating because it boils up because he's trying to force all that food down his
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get him just to 15. I was talking to him the other night to get him down to 15, but
15.
he's a 1, 2, 3, and
Yeah, he was trying. He was. Yes, everyone. JSP. He was on the phone trying to get me to chew my food more. He really was trying to do that. He really was.
I mean, you gonna make that fish come back alive on the other end the way you chewing it. You ain't no teeth in it.
Also, and we're not talking bad about your almond milk. We're actually okay with the almond milk. Like we said, it's basically just water that they put vitamins in. Nothing wrong with it. The world class. This is a sales pitch. Carrots are a starch. Kind of.
Yeah.
They still get.
If it grows underground, most tubers are considered starch.
Yeah, that's true. Water is essential. Absolutely. And he says, do either of you offer nutrition plans? I do, in fact, NA.
I do not.
I do.
Honestly, because most won't follow it, and again, sometimes you have to have those disclaimers. I'm not a registered dietitian, which in a lot of cases they say you need. If you're going to be offering that kind of stuff, that's a gray area that I'll make suggestions. I'll talk about what I've done, and I'll talk about general macros and what certain nutrients do, but I leave it up to the person to kind of make out what they want, because I can't be in your refrigerator.
Right.
Getting that cold piece of fried chicken that you
and you bring up a really good point. You offer people nutrition plans all the live long day. Like, I have one nutrition plan that's as generic as it comes. I have an example at the top of the sheet where it says, okay, breakfast, oatmeal, 2 hard-boiled eggs, right? For the oatmeal, I'm like, half a cup of oatmeal, 2 tablespoons of flaxseed meal, a tablespoon of cinnamon. Pour hot water over it. You know what I'm saying? I give them the measurements for that, and it's like I do the same for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's as an example. The rest of it, I just give them a list of foods I recommend they eat, because people, if you give one, and now with this fitness app that I'm developing, and it should be up and running, the whole app with all the programs should be up. Should be complete by the end of the month. But I offer there's an app connected to it where I can customize their diet, and they can make changes on their own as far as what they want to eat, or if they, when I do their biweekly checkups with me, I'll go, okay, how's everything going? They're like, yeah, I was growing in this area, that area, but I'm no longer. I'm slowing down now, right? Okay, cool. I'll say, okay, make this kind of adjustment to your diet. I'll say, like, add some ground beef or a can of tuna, for a bodybuilder, a person who's going for bodybuilding. A person for general health, they go for general health, man. I mean, that's easy enough. It depends on how active they are, what's in their nutrition plan. So, but in the app, you get to change it as needed, but here's the thing. People have their meal plan, Mr. Bennett, and Mr. Bennett's right. They just ignore the whole thing. You know what I mean? I'm like
it's the excuse of the week. It's the excuse of the week.
It is.
I was taking my son to practice, and he was hungry, and I stopped him at McDonald's just to get him a cheeseburger, and I said, well, you might as well throw a couple more cheeseburgers. It's one excuse after another. So so like I said, I'll give you the information, but you guys
can't blame me if you don't get the results.
You guys to own that.
Right. If you're not eating the way I'm suggesting. Yeah. What's up, Reckless Ray? Taz the Five from the 5100 podcast. He's a part of the duo over there. Shout out to you, sir. Thanks for coming. You and Reckless Ray and JT from What We Know podcast. That's actually Rob. People. That's not actually JT. Either Rob or his girlfriend's doing that for him. JT ain't here.
Okay. He wasn't here.
Yeah, JT
so,
ain't here.
I want to chime into this because I know a lot of us the FDA, and a lot of us are scared. And I've been doing this for about 40, 42, 43 years going on now. And the way I'm able to get away with it is a religious way of life. See, I come from the holistic approach, and that is the
Yeah.
oldest religion on this planet. So I'm able
Oh
to
my
get away
God.
with a lot of things. I'm going, but it's better than some of your diets, man. You want people to suck on rocks and eat rocks and stuff. But anyway, red mud and clay and but what I'm saying is that there are ways, and I would understand why Mr. Bennett wouldn't want to jeopardize his finances by. But that's how I've been able to get away with it for years, due to the fact I use it as a way of life. And I have pretty much, even though I talk about hybrids, I have one rule, and one simple rule when it comes down to people say, what should I get? You could, just like you say, Mr. Bennett, you could write everything down and they still, I have one simple rule. Don't buy anything white. Don't eat anything white.
I agree with that. That's
That can have a lot of
Well,
implications.
I'm not trying to
obviously.
break up people's marriages. I mean, you got a white guy, something like that. I mean, you can do what you want to do, but I'm just saying, as
Right.
far as purchasing stuff out of the store, and don't just purchase anything white. And if you see a
Now,
woman
there's
walking down the
a-
street, don't
right.
purchase it neither, because that's double time.
Now, you had mentioned one thing, I think last show or the show before. Now, I talked about onions, and you
Right.
said the white onion or the yellow onion you should avoid. Stick with the red,
Right.
the red onions, because the red
Right.
is more so the red isn't a hybrid. That's a more natural.
That's more
version.
natural. It is one of the oldest onion, and the bud onion, the wild onion that you can find in nature itself. So these things that you could actually see, when I was in North Carolina and we used to go in the woods, a lot of the things we found, I mean,
They were growing wild.
We found
berries.
grapes.
Yeah, my cousins and I used to eat blackberries and
Right.
blackberries
And
all the
mustard
time.
limes.
They just
I don't know what.
and they grew naturally out there in the
Right, they
woods.
grew natural up in the tree with
Yep.
vines and stuff like that. So a lot of things
Honeysuckle.
that you can, who was somebody say, OG, so it's so racist. No, I mean, if you go call me racist, then you gonna have to call God racist, because God made everything with color, and so that's what I'm saying. All food that you find that it's white. I mean, if you even cut an apple open and really look at it, you'll find out it's not white. I mean, some of
It's
this
not.
stuff that they were made hybrid. So what I'm trying to say, when you start talking about iced potato, that no, you shouldn't. Y'all get the picture.
Yeah, that's why
Think
sweet
about
potatoes.
white-
That's why.
And the
Yeah,
white rice, the husband took off of it, and that's part of that helps you with the digestive system. If you go eat rice, they dehug it and then they bleach it, and so a lot of the things that that you are eating, you're consuming, could be bringing on early gray hair or anything, because you have known foods that contains high volume of chlorine or Clorox or whatever they want to call it.
If
mathematic.
it says enriched on the label,
Right.
that's definitely
Right.
that's
Right,
definitely
and
a
so you start
flag.
getting gray hairs at 13 years old. You understand, because they have found out women who dye their hair. They have. There was a woman case in Texas. She was dyeing her hair, and her baby had to go to emergency room because his lips and stuff had been turning like he had drunk bleach. And they had actually removed the child from the house because they thought she was not watching it. The child had got a hold of the bleach, and they come to find out it was the dye from her hair that when she was breastfeeding. And so what I'm trying to say is, a lot of these things, what you eat is what you are. You know what I mean? It goes in your stomach, and it's gonna produce something good or bad. And that's all I tell anybody. I mean, you can. Some people like George Byrne, they say, well, he smoked a cigar and he lasted to be 99 years, but maybe George Byrne could have lived 150 some years. We are governing his thermostat by other people. You understand? By other people's standard. So people who do drink and smoke cigars and they live to a long period of time, them type of people could probably live 125 years old easily. So we can't judge other people's life and then say I'm gonna be reckless with my life, with my nutrition, just because somebody else did something before you. So I think you have to be very careful about stuff like that.
Well, I think a lot of it's just about mitigating risk. I mean, we're not saying that. I don't think there's a thing called, I guess, a guarantee that if you eat, a holistic diet or whatever, that you're going to guarantee to live to 100, 110 or whatever. It's all about mitigating risk. I mean, it's like, certainly those, if you smoke, you certainly have a higher risk for lung cancer, but we can't say, definitive. It's one of those things. It's like, look, would you jump out of a plane without a parachute? If you got a 1 or 2% chance of not coming back, how many people take the bet? So I think a lot of this stuff is about not necessarily better or worse, but because I used to share a story about Jack LaLanne. I think Jack LaLanne, he died at 95. He had a brother who didn't do anything, didn't work out, didn't eat, he died at 97. So it's not to say that, that we're saying that, his way of life, Jack LaLanne's life, was so much better than his brother's. Or, we don't know. I mean, as far as the quality of life, I mean, up to his 90s, he was still swimming in the ocean, dragging a boat in his teeth and all that kind of stuff. So he's, again, like with all of this, it's about just food for thought in terms of, how can you moderate? Can you have some outcomes? Can you feel a little bit better? Can your joints feel a little bit better? Can you, can you just think about and just try some of these things? You never know if you don't try some of these things, how something's going to work for you over time. But I'm not here to get, like I said, the main reason I do it is like, I don't guarantee that. I've had guys where I plan all 3 meals and 2 snacks, and these are the times that you take them and all of that. And, but they would come back and say, it ain't working. So I gotta break, time for truth. Would you have this? Would you have it that? And there's always something. And like I said, I'm not going to put that, certainly not going to put it in writing to say that, you sign up with me, I'll guarantee you'll lose 10 pounds with me or 20 pounds with it. No, I can't control that.
No, you can't.
Mr. Bennett, but Mr. Bennett, we will have to say this with caution too. If you pretty much smoking a bag of weed early in the morning and you doing a lot of walking, you will have a high risk chance of being hit by a bus. It's just something that's moving faster than you. So we'll have to put that. We'll have to put that caution in there too.
That is true.
Right. And check this out. OG is 8 about the onion. I have no idea what that means.
I'm not sure
world class. Yeah, he's 8. As in the number 8 about the onion. No, it's a typographical error. He messed up. You messed up.
It's right about
yeah. He's trying. That's what he's trying to say. But no, we're gonna leave that up there for a while. Yeah. Okay, just to make a point.
Just okay. Well,
y'all ever know people eat raw onions? Y'all ever see people do that?
I've tried that one time.
It's good.
Yeah, I did that. I tried that one time, dude.
There's certain ones. Women.
Haven't done it since.
I've seen some of the sweet ones, but
the Vidalia onion. It's a hybrid, but it is more of a sweet. You can eat it. But what I found out about eating onions, if you let them get into a vinaigrette sauce and you let them stay overnight, they're very. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but I discovered this, and some people still say that I'm wrong about it. Mm-hmm. But black seed, this crave for black seed, that's nothing but onion seeds.
Mm.
So you see what I'm saying?
Interesting.
I got you.
I eat look. I'm not one of garlic. Garlic has a Viagra effect on me, so I don't eat a lot of garlic. Especially I'm in between relationships now, and that's not one of the things I want to be associated with at this time. So
now I heard onions have a similar. Effect.
Yeah.
And so I stay away from the garlic at this point. But anyway, just like I say, I've been doing this, and a lot of you guys who think y'all know better than OG, we're going to see what's going to be happening about 30 years from now. Yeah. When y'all be calling me with your hands look like crow feet and asking OG, well, what did you do different? Okay.
They going to be like, man, OG, you was 8.
Yeah.
You was 8 about that.
Well, it's better than being 6
Yeah, in it though.
It's better than being 6. I mean, I'm closer to 10 than
Right. Hey, look at it now.
I'm just
Like, he's laughing up in the
away.
car. No, but this typo here, man, as in the 8, as in the number 8. Yeah, let's leave that up there for a minute. But before that, he says garlic is a poison, pH of 3.5. Now here's the thing: he's not wrong. It depends on how the garlic is ingested. Like you can't ingest garlic directly into the bloodstream. Like you can't take a syringe of garlic and just inject it in blood. Yeah, that's poison. Or have it on like say a knife and you stab someone with it. Yes, that's poisonous. But yeah, you said that before. You said that before.
No. I think I said it just
But if you,
now.
but if you eat garlic,
wait a minute, no, it grows your weapon. I mean, it gives you another weapon. So that's what I was saying. It gives you a different type of gun.
Put some ammo in the chamber. That's what it does.
Well, juices of life can be considered as a liquid poison to some people. It swells up some people's stomachs. So, but anyway, what I'm trying to say about
That
was a good one, actually. That was a good one.
The kidney shot, OG.
Yeah, that was a good. That was actually a really good one.
But then I said, "Whoa!" like that.
Yeah. So but you have to be careful, and so garlic do have that effect. If you eat 5 cloves of it, it becomes Cialis or what's the name. But he's totally correct. 3 point.
Yeah.
An acid-based food and versus alkaline. That's what he's getting to when we was talking about hybrids.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the point I was kind of making earlier as well. That again, we talk about the acidic foods, but again, alkaline foods help to balance out. So again, even if you eat in the garlic with the 3.5, how much of your food are you eating is of the alkaline nature that would help to raise that overall pH? And then some foods, again, too much of anything can be bad for you, or especially if you consume it over time. So so certainly taking garlic, I take it a lot of times for immune boosting. It helps to lower cholesterol. It helps with the especially on outside. If I ever get like a tickle in my throat, if I think I have a cold coming on, I'll take some garlic and it just goes away. As far as the symptoms of leading to a cold. So again, for your immune. So there's a lot of benefits. So how do you weigh those things? But if you're going to be eating 5 cloves of garlic a day every day, yeah, you might get that improved performance, but you may have to cycle off it for a bit and again offset it with more alkaline foods or what to make sure. Yeah. So again, nothing in overabundance of anything should be a general principle when it comes to diet and to nutrition, that you need to look at everything. But I think, just going back to that earlier point I made about the fact that the world is so, the world is not small, and that we have so many of food items and stuffs that were in prior years just a population you just didn't know about. Like even today, there's food stuffs that people just don't. You go to Australia, there's like certain foods that they just don't know about. Like in America, y'all eat that, but we don't know it. I think it was peanut butter or something. One country just doesn't eat peanut butter, or they don't even. It's just not there.
Mr. Bennett, we was taught not to eat peanut butter. Cut your wind. Peanuts cut your wind. I don't know if that's one of the things in your gym, but we was taught not to eat peanuts because it cut your wind.
Actually,
I don't know where that came from.
Well, I know it. Well, I don't. It depends. Now, for a sport like boxing, I can say, but football, like my diet when I played football, which wasn't long, but the weight gaining program, if you wanted to get put on size for football, it was quart of chocolate milk and 2 or 3 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and that was the prescribed. It wasn't chicken breasts and broccoli and stuff like that. I mean, it was cheap, and it was something. And again, you talk about the lactose tolerance. Someone brought up earlier in the show. Yeah, back in the day, we were drinking milk by the quart, not the 8-ounce glass in the morning. So that could be possibly why someone may become more lactose intolerant later. It's not so much because part of this is the quantity. How much are you consuming? So again, if you get it to 8 ounces or less, so like you said, Mandra, you can have a bowl of ice cream or some cheese, and that's not even 8 ounces worth. But the way we used to chug it by the quart, that could certainly, you're giving your body too much of something, even though you might be getting the protein from it. But the fact that you're getting all this additional lactic acid that your body needs to process, the body's like, oh, I just can't handle all this. And then you become intolerant because it's too much. So I think we also have to look at the point again, the point earlier about how much are we consuming. And in fact, in this country where you can have an overabundance of everything, whereas in other countries, people just don't have the means or the resources to eat whatever they want, when they want it. Some people go days without eating. That's just a normal part of life. So people are fasting, not intentionally, but because there's nothing there to eat. You might have to wait a couple of days before you get your next
meal.
Yeah, but here there's such an abundance, and there's so many food influences and stuff that are just crossing each other that we've certainly there's a good chance we made this a lot more complicated because again our body's like, what are you what are you feeding me, because I'm getting all these different things, and just because it tastes good, it may not necessarily be good for me if I have too much of it.
Right. I'm gonna run this last video when it comes to vegetables, and we're gonna move on to partly about what you just brought up about all, because basically it's just sugar.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna run this video and we're gonna move on to sugar.
The available literature has suggested that a robust microbiome can even help protect you against carcinogens from meat products, meaning consuming plants can actually make it healthier to consume meat. A robust microbiome can help defend you against the plant defense chemicals. In fact, it can even make them inconsequential or possibly help you by stressing you in a way that you can adapt. Look, your digestive system is able to take some abuse. I mean, obviously that abuse is going to be limited. If you're eating nothing but broccoli, that can create problems. This is where diversity is going to be so important. But it can take abuse, and especially at the level that a piece of broccoli is going to give you.
Yep.
I guess he's back.
I'm back.
How many chews you get in you?
I was drinking water. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. But anyway,
basically, when it comes to your vegetables, people, keep it diverse.
Yeah.
Keep it diverse. When it comes to you're eating vegetables, especially when you're eating fibrous carbohydrates, you know what I mean? Vegetables rich in fiber. So keep it diverse. Have some broccoli sometimes, have some cauliflower, have some carrots sometimes. Romaine, I don't eat iceberg lettuce, and I don't recommend anyone does. You're basically just eating water. There's no point in eating iceberg lettuce. If you want to make a salad, make it a mixed. Do what I do. I make it a mixed green: iceberg lettuce, some spinach, and some kale. You know what I mean? I just make it a mixed green. And of course I throw red onions in there. Sometimes a couple of boiled eggs, hard-boiled eggs. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I just grill up some chicken, chop it up, throw it over in the salad, and there you go. Or I throw some salmon in the air fryer. There you go. I have that with the salad. You know what I mean? Sometimes. So I think it's best to go with a mixed green when it goes to your salads. Vegetables are fine. Just like JSP said, stay away from anything white. You saw it happen over here in Montgomery, Alabama last weekend, right? Yeah. Yes.
What did you say, Mandrell?
I was saying that I was saying when it comes to your vegetables, make it a variety. Make it a variety. You know what I mean? Don't eat the same vegetables every single day. Make it a variety. And when it comes to the salads, make them a mixed green. I personally use romaine lettuce. Don't ever use iceberg lettuce because iceberg lettuce is pointless to eat that. You're basically just eating water. There's no nutrients in it at all. So eat iceberg lettuce, mix it with some spinach and some kale, and that's the greenery for my salad. I also throw red onions in there, cucumbers or zucchini. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A couple of hard-boiled eggs in there, and if I'll cook some chicken, grill some chicken or something like that, or have some salmon cook in the air fryer. You got it.
Do you drink a 16-ounce glass of pickle juice after you do all that? But anyway, there's a gentleman.
No, I do not.
Mr. Youngblood he said something that is one of my number one rules, and everything that I do.
Cayenne pepper is a good one too.
Not
What is your
only-
opinion? Yeah. Explain this. What's the deal with the cayenne pepper? Because I tried that ridiculous
Okay.
maple syrup, cayenne pepper, and
okay,
water
okay, well,
thing.
Oh no!
And lemon juice.
Ooh.
I tried that for 3 days, and I was like,
So-
no.
no. So what I'm saying is,
I lasted 3 days, man. I was like, no.
Cayenne, and this is for people who may suffer with high blood pressure. Cayenne, what it does, it increases the blood flow. People who have have problems with blood flow in their lower legs and stuff like that, it increases blood circulation all throughout the body. Matter of fact, my grandmother used to put it in our socks in the wintertime to keep our feet warm. It has that effect. So what I'm saying is, when you cayenne pepper is like a boost to every nutrient you put in your body. It boosts it up. And the reason why it's able to boost it up because it get the blood circulation. And so you get another more kick for your, but most people don't know what's real cayenne pepper. You know, we eat a lot of different peppers on this earth, but cayenne is one that's been studied for so long, and even doctors are saying some doctors, when you do have high, they try you on it before they get you to take the medicines. I mean, good doctors. The other doctors will write the prescription. But yes, cayenne pepper is good for the digestive system. That's number one. And it don't burn. Matter of fact, for myself, I make a eye wash with cayenne pepper. So see, Mr. Bennett came straight up when I said they said cayenne in the eyes. But I'm telling you, you got more vessels in your eyeball than most places in your body, and it improves the circulation as far as everything in your body. And I introduce it to every pill that I make, and I actually make my own pill, and we will get into that later, where I can show people that you can make your own capsules and your own pills, and it's not as hard as you think it is.
And also to you, a lot of people. I meant to say that make mention of this earlier, that a lot of foods that are here in the U.S. you can't take to Europe or other countries as well. Like some places in Asia, you can't take American food because our food, strictly speaking, our food is shit. You know what I'm saying? They don't want it.
Standards in other countries is much higher than here.
Right. They don't want it. Like, this is the only country I've ever been to, gentlemen, where bread is sweet. Bread is sweet over here. Like, I'm talking about just regular bread. Yeah. It tastes sweet. But then when I go to, for example, when I go to Italy, bread tastes like bread. Like, when you eat it, I'm like, oh, this is what bread tastes like. Like, there's a big difference just in the flavor alone. You know, Greece the same way. Oh, this is what bread tastes like. You come here, it tastes like cake.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
Mandrell, you got to understand, a lot of them countries you just mentioned, and I got tons of bread in here that I bring in from Whole Foods and Trader Joe's for the house. They use stuff like olive, rosemary, and so
they use a lot of.
They don't have to put a lot of salt in their breads or sugars in their bread, because the essence of what the herb or herbs or the spices they use, that's what makes the bread has its taste. And I love olive bread. I mean, it's one of I like bread with seeds and nuts in it too. But some people just like plain white. That bread you can chew 3 times. You'll kill yourself trying to chew bimbo bread. Do y'all have bimbo bread where you at, Mandrell?
I don't look for it. I don't eat.
Have it?
Well, I don't eat bread here.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, if you get 3 chews out there and try to swallow, somebody's gonna be rushing you to the hospital.
I don't eat bread here, man. I don't,
because it swells up in your throat. I don't know what they make that bread out of. That is the worst stuff in the world. But go ahead.
Okay, now we're gonna move on to
join the clan. He got the white dot.
Right. I think we're gonna go to the ultimate evil, the thing that's really giving you the problems that people, sugar. All right, it's video 1.
Now, there are certain situations where I want a simple sugar or a sugar to get in there and raise the blood sugar levels quickly. For example, say like in a clinical setting, I had a patient that was hypoglycemic. I don't want to wait for a complex carbohydrate. I want to get a simple sugar in there to raise the blood sugar levels up to get them out of that hypoglycemic state. Maybe I'm a marathon runner and I'm halfway through the marathon, my glucose levels are getting low, and I need to get an energy boost of glucose into my bloodstream as quickly as possible. Yes, the ideal situation is to have a balanced intake of carbohydrates or blood glucose levels. But as you can see, there are certain situations where it can be appropriate to get that glucose into the bloodstream as quickly as possible. And one thing I do want to mention is that in the clinical setting, if we have to get somebody's blood sugar levels up or during a marathon, it's not like we're giving people like spoonfuls of table sugar. There are certain mixtures or products that are made up of simple sugars or simple carbohydrates to get this done. But if you are in a pinch, a sugary drink or a sugary juice often will have the same effect.
Yeah, that's right, people. And I want to start off with this. When J Speed said earlier, just don't eat anything white. For example, white rice, white potatoes. That's because during gestation, while it's digesting, it breaks it down into glucose, aka sugar. It breaks the carbohydrates down to sugar. So imagine if you were to eat steak and potatoes or some kind of rice, beans and rice, you're at a Mexican restaurant or whatever, or black beans and rice or whatever. Okay, the rice is going to turn to sugar. Now, let's say you have a soda with it. That's high fructose corn syrup. Let's say you have dessert. That's more sugar. We eat way, way too much. Sugar has its place as well, but we eat far too much of it. And it's in everything. I just got done talking about the bread here in the continental U.S. It's way too sweet in comparison to literally everywhere else I've been on the planet. You know, Miss Globe Girl, her name implies that she travels. I'm sure she knows that.
Yeah.
You know, man, she's telling me, leave that dollar store bread alone, Mandriel.
Right.
Look at her. No, listen, Navy, because she was in the Navy. She was in the Navy.
Scuttlebutt.
Right, Scuttlebutt. You know they put their name
telling stories about a water fountain.
Right, tell them stories. That's all they do: stand by the water fountain for 8 hours and then call it a day. You know what I'm saying? They don't even be there 8 hours. They go to work 3 hours later. Like 3 hours later, man, I sure ready to go home. 20 minutes later, they're out. Oh man, that was such a hard day. Oh, like the Air Force. You know what I mean? And Quantum says she stopped eating bread. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
And look at this one. The bread is sweet here because the grains are clones of hybrids. Listen, I don't think you're 8 about that, world class. You might be 8. You might be 8 about that. You might be 8 about that, world class. Quantum says,
I just look at I just read the label, and the second ingredient after the enriched bleached flour is high fructose corn syrup.
Exactly, it's not even sugar; it's high fructose corn syrup.
They're not even hiding it from you that they're
at all. You know what I'm saying? Like Quantum said,
and also keep in mind when you read ingredients, I think it's an FDA requirement. You list the ingredient by its quantity in the product.
It's the amount of volume that's in it. Yeah.
Enriched bleached flour is obviously the number one. If high fructose corn syrup comes after that, or sugar, or whatever it is, it's in ranked order. The thing you can't read or the thing you can barely understand at the end, that's the least of it. You know it's in there, but usually you list ingredients by priority in terms of the quantity as a percentage of the product.
Absolutely.
And she said something.
Quantum says sugar equals drug. Now, Quantum, you are 8 about that.
Yeah.
You are 8 about that. It is because
classify.
Yeah.
What sugar was used for? The white sugar that we consume. If anybody ever worked in precast or worked with metal, and get raw metal in, you'll see a glaze on it. And that glaze is sugar. It keeps the metal from rusting. That was one of the compounds that they used to use sugar for. That it would keep things from rusting. And just like you were saying, Mandriel, that everything, even in spices too, you forgot that little part. Some spices have sugar in it. And so it's just so hard to get away from it. And a lot of foods you was talking about taking outside the country, a lot of them foods are against the law in other countries. Not only they won't let you work, but them foods are actually against the law in that country.
Yeah, you can't bring them over there. Like, say you pack their lunch or something like that, you can't get them to play with that stuff. I mean, the other countries won't allow it. You know what I mean? And so, like, oh, listen, Miss Glover, everybody got jokes about the Navy until they need a real military branch to save the world. You're not saving anything, okay? It's us, the Army. We do that, okay? And the Marine Corps. It's crazy as hell. Now, she said, what's a good sugar substitute? Stevia. I say stevia is a good sugar substitute. And by the way, people, when we're talking about sugar, we're talking about two different kinds. High fructose corn syrup, chiefly, and the other one is processed.
Well, it's not a sugar. I mean,
it's corn syrup. I got you, but it's all processed sugar. Yeah, processed sugar too. That's the sugar you go on aisle 5 on Walmart and you buy a bag of sugar. We're talking about that kind of sugar.
But that's coming from a plant product, like sucrose.
Yeah, but we
typical Domino sugar that's coming from the sugar cane. They process it and they make it into
that's true.
I'm saying high fructose corn syrup. I mean, I guess it's coming from grain product, but it's much more. They do a lot more things metabolically to it, and it acts differently in the body because of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Most of them make cheap liquor out of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
they do. They do that out of sugar cane too. They make liquor out of sugar cane too.
They make cheap. I mean, think about it. I was thinking about this, and I don't know why I was thinking about this. About 10 years ago, I was like, why do they use crystal sugar when the corn syrup is already broken down and they can make liquor a lot faster? And a lot of people who were in the mountains was using corn syrup versus sugar because at that time that police kept, when you buy high qualities of sugar, they know you was probably making corn liquor or something. So, well, just get the corn syrup and, do your thing. But I'm not trying to influence someone to make corn liquor, but sugar is not your friend, people. It's just not. I mean, there's so many other things that you can use as sugar. I use a lot of dry dates. I have bags and bags of dry dates, and when it comes to recipes that calls for sugar, it has a more of a smoky taste to it, but there's a lot of recipes that you can use dry dates substitute for sugars. Vegetable glycerin is one of my real secrets of life. We'll get into that one of these days about vegetable glycerin, and it almost tastes and look like corn syrup, but it's a totally different what it does for the body. So people, just do your own research and find out what sugars like. A lot of people finding out this who have diabetes, they can't have sugar. So what they usually do is find substitutes that won't enclose and give them an overdose of glucose in their bloodstream and have falling out, because you have people that have different types of diabetes. I have called the rescue people at my house, and they come here, and the first thing they do was give the person a piece of candy. And then they say, well, he or she'll be all right in just a minute, and they decide if they're going to take them to the hospital or not by how their body reacts to the candy they give them.
I was at a Planet Fitness. They let you in there and let you get a few workouts, test the place out and see if you like it, right? So I go there. It's Member Appreciation Day, ironically. And so I'm on my way out, and there's this table right there in front of the front desk. It had Papa John's pizza and Krispy Kreme donuts sitting right out there on the table. I was like, now here, Krispy Kreme donuts literally is like just right up the street. Planet Fatness.
Planet Fatness.
Planet Fatness. That's what it is. Now, Noble, the world class, he did make some good suggestions here. I do agree with the coconut sugar. I prefer cane sugar. Call me biased, but my granddaddy used to grow sugar cane. Don't ask me what he did with it. I'm not telling you. Okay? Yeah. But the dude learned some skills during Prohibition. That's all I'm going to say. So, real honey, yes. This is to answer the question of Miss Gold Girl. Real honey, I agree with that as well. Dates are good. J Speed is correct, and Noble. Currants, I don't think I've tried that. But here's the thing, people. Overall, when it comes to high fructose corn syrup, the reason why I tell people to stay clear of that period as much as humanly possible is because, although it's delicious, I ain't gonna lie. You know, during this series, like when I was gaining the weight, it was a blast. I had a ball. I ate whatever I wanted. They use high fructose corn syrup to fatten up bulls and cows for slaughter. Now that's an animal that's huh?
And sumo wrestlers too.
And sumo wrestlers too, exactly.
They drink it like a soda.
Yeah, and they drink the whole syrup and they put it in that cabbage dish that they eat. They put it in there to sweeten it up, and they eat it in almost everything. So yeah, it makes them gain a lot of weight real fast. Right. They use it to fatten up bulls, people. Yeah. So you're a human being. What do you think it's going to do to you? Right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
yeah, I do want to talk about against those products and also maple syrup. I mean, I guess things that are coming real, like 100%. Like go to Vermont and get the real syrup, not from the sap. But I want to ask OJ, because I don't see it as much anymore, but I remember they used to sell corn syrup commercially, like Karo. Like that was like you would put Karo syrup on your pancakes rather than your, Aunt Jemima or whatever, Mrs. Butterworth or something like that. So OG, that I remember growing up seeing that. You may have more familiarity with that.
Yeah, that's
not the hot fructose corn syrup, but the corn syrup where you would literally just pour it out. Like you had pancakes, you just poured in your pancakes. And so was that a better product or was that something?
No, it was just that was ghetto maple syrup. So it was cheaper and the government gave it out. You got to understand.
Oh, okay.
And so people got used to pouring that, and people used to spice it up a little bit, like add butter to it and a little vanilla to it, and then pour it over pancakes. Because maple syrup, it's still today. They get authentic. Natasha brought me some from Canada. She brought me 2 bottles of it. It's much thinner. They tap it in.
It's not thick.
It's not thick.
At all.
My granddaddy made cane syrup amongst other things with sugar cane that he grew. Let me tell you, I grew up. I hated that. I hate cane syrup. Maple syrup, I like, and like you said, it's runny. When you have the real stuff, it's very runny.
Which
it's not thick,
it's bad, but it ruins your pancakes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it literally, it's the pancake or the waffle or whatever, it soaks it up.
Yeah.
And so when you eat it, it's soggy. It's like you might as well just dip your pancakes in water and then try to eat it after that. That's that's the only drawback.
It makes it soggy. You have to eat it fast.
The thickness of the conventional syrups, or you got to refrigerate it. Now, if you keep it refrigerated, where it gets kind of thick, then you buy yourself a little bit more time.
Right.
Yeah. Dinosaur says June 2020.
I like to take. Okay, I'm finna give y'all a good recipe for the people who eat pancakes and waffles. And the reason
Wally.
Okay, so the reason why you can't get that in
shout out to Wally.
If you ever ate a chicken and waffle, you take your maple syrup and you add like a tablespoon of blackstrap molasses to it. That's
blackstrap
molasses.
Blackstrap molasses.
Why do they call it blackstrap?
You know what I'm talking about. Well, most people had to get their ass whooped after they took a tablespoon out. Not really, but
I've never heard blackstrap molasses.
But Major know what I'm talking about in this part of the time. I still buy that in California. You can still buy it in the health food stores. Molasses. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Dinosaur says June 2023, United States Food and Drug Administration will test out June 2023. That's past, dude. Don't you mean they have already done it? Anyway, we'll test out labels on the front of food packages in the hope of giving shoppers better access to nutrition information.
That's what we're down to. So to flip it, you got to go there.
Right.
I guess to get people to listen.
I guess, man. I mean, I don't believe they did it.
They want to make it bigger, maybe, but
right.
They don't put it right in the front.
I don't think they're going to put the manpower to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know, but I know that a lot of the like I said, the syrups and a lot of the they'll put on the label itself like big, like no high fructose corn syrup, like on the
yeah,
salad dressing. So a lot of people are kind of going that route with the marketing and the advertising because again, high fructose has such a bad reputation. And to that earlier point I was making about the Cairo, like I said, I remember growing up, you would go into the syrup aisle where that stuff was, and there would just be a big quart bottle of Cairo, and you would just get that. And I seldom see that now, maybe because of the association with high fructose. But it's just almost like that's just not a product that maybe, at least not in the Northeast, maybe in the South they're still doing it. But I used to be able to go. Cairo was like the big manufacturer of it or the brand of it, and I just don't see that anymore.
that's a good thing. Let me run through this last video, gentlemen.
Okay.
Let's get into this part.
Your body doesn't care or know the difference between where the glucose came from. Glucose is glucose. Now, even though I said glucose is glucose and that our body doesn't differentiate between the sources from where the glucose comes from, there are still some important considerations we have to have when it comes to sugar. For example, sugar is often referred to as empty calories, meaning that glucose and fructose is essentially all we get in the form of calories and energy from that sugar, as opposed to getting that glucose and fructose from whole food sources. In that case, that glucose and fructose is often going to be associated with other benefits, with things like vitamins, fiber, and other nutrients that can help bolster health and wellness. And building further off of this idea of empty calories, if we had to pick the most negative thing when it comes to sugar, it's probably this. We can eat a ton of it without actually feeling that full. And when you think about it from the perspective of, say, like early human ancestors or hunter-gatherers, did they get carbohydrates and some simple sugars through ingesting fruits and vegetables? Yes, of course. But were they also creating these factories where they were developing refined table sugar to also add to the foods they were already eating? No. But we do. Think about maybe the last time you went to a restaurant. Maybe instead of ordering a water, you ordered a soda. And maybe you got 2 to 3 refills. And that extra sugar that was in that soda was ingested and probably didn't make you feel any more full than if you just had 2 to 3 glasses of water instead.
Yep. Yeah, you get no nutritional value out of it either. Right. It's basically just quick energy, like you said in the previous video.
Which again, what you need if you did a post work, like you did what do you call it, an anaerobic workout where you basically depleted your glycogen stores, then like he said in the previous video, yeah, I mean, simple sugars I think certainly have their place, whether it be a Gatorade or you want to have a high carb meal post training, post recovery or whatever. They have their place, but I think it's just the overabundance of these things, and in ways they're putting it in places that you wouldn't expect to be there. Like remember that whole anti-fat craze back in the 80s and the 90s was fat free, but then what they started doing, they started putting sugar and high fructose corn syrup in the salad dressings and in the chips and all these things because fat was considered the boogeyman at the time. And again, that you talk about research that's going back and forth over the years. So fat is good for you. Coconut oil was bad for you. Now it's great for you. It's great for your skin. You should be using all these different things. And so again, the fact that there's so much, and then going back to the comment earlier about the food labels, again, most people don't read the sizes of what you need to be eating. And I think I did a video one time on my IG talking about if you just cereal, just take any breakfast cereal, right? And if you look at the serving size, most of the time it's like a half a cup or 2/3 of a cup at the most, or 3/4 of a cup at the most. And for most people, your bowl is going to be this big. And so really when you filling up that cereal bowl with cereal, you're probably putting in 3 or 4 times as much sugar that's on the label. So a lot of people aren't making that correlation between how much is the values that are on the label. What are they measuring? If something's got 30 grams of sugar in it for a half a cup serving, and then you're going to fill that bowl all the way up and put a Mountain Peak on it, and then you put your milk and all that stuff in it, you could be eating 5 or 6 times the sugars that you have. Even the sodas, some of the bigger cans of sodas, you got to look at the serving size. It's meant for 2 servings. A 20-ounce Coke is meant really 2 servings, not 1. And yet you're still going to drink the whole, you're in your mind, because mom told you you'll always finish what you start. So you're always going to finish the whole bottle, don't waste anything. You're getting double the amount than what was actually labeled there. So all those little sneaky things that people are doing that gets sugar, more of these sugars into your diet, the quantities that we're eating and not paying attention to how much we're ingesting is just natural, just what we're doing. Yeah, that's a major problem. That is a major problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And Miss Gold Girl asks, how about over-the-counter supplements? Do they have any real value? Yes. The answer is yes. The answer is absolutely yes. I supplement myself. I'm kind of ashamed to say that I take a lot of supplements. I do. I take a lot of stuff, man. But and you guys are going to see that on episode 0 once I release that this week. But supplementation, Miss Gold Girl, to answer your question directly, yes. J Speed, he takes supplements as well. He takes a much more holistic approach to supplements, but they are good. He hasn't recommended anything bad to me yet. When he first started talking to me about supplementation his way, I thought he was full of, I did. I was like, man, this stuff ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? But I actually did. He asked me like three times in a row. Every time I talked to him, hey, did you ever get down to the stove, my man, and check out the stuff I told you about? What stuff? I had forgotten. Like when he asked to remind me, I've forgotten about it. But you know what I mean. But oh yeah, that's right. I'm gonna go get it next time. 2 more times he called. Hey, you ever got it? You know what? He's not gonna let it go. Let me go try it. So I actually tried it, and there is validity to the things that he recommends. So when he gets to label name stuff off today, pay attention. Get your pen and paper. Write some of it down. And go try it. Nothing to lose. And it does work. I have to admit, if he didn't know what he was talking about, he wouldn't be on this panel. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't. But supplementation, Miss Gold Girl, yes. I definitely recommend it. At least a good multivitamin, a decent one. You know what I'm saying? You're muted, OG.
Please, like with anything, check the date and the shelf life, because a lot of places that you go, like, please don't try to buy your supplements from 99-cent stores, because that stuff is shipped to them because the shelf life is pretty much over. And so you're getting a product that is pretty much, you might as well be eating cardboard. So that's what you're mainly, and the reason why I do take the holistic approach, because if I get it in natural form, then I determine what's going to be the shelf life. If I make the pill, I determine, I date it and tell the people who I'm giving it to, this is when it came in and this when it is. So they have an understanding of the shelf life, because that's what's most important, because over time, things lose their potent. If you make a juice, if you don't drink it within 15 minutes, it loses half as potent by the time you get to drink it. You let it just sit there for 20 and 30 minutes. You know what I mean? It don't lost half, So I try to use things in the most natural form. And if I have to put them in a capsule, I don't have a problem with that, making capsules. But I do want to say something about Scam Lively. He said molasses is death. And this is what we're trying to relay. I think Mr. Bennett has been clear with this ever since we've been talking about this, that everything in moderation, or what you got to figure out what it does for you. So guys who's having problem with gray hair, early gray hair, a spoonful of molasses, if you don't have diabetes, a spoonful of molasses every day will turn your hair back black again. It's the iron content. All right, so we know that the process of molasses boiled down from cane sugar, and after it crystallized, it's the dark part that's left over. So when you understand the process and you understand what you're getting, most blacks in this country, and I told you we was equator children, we like sun. Most of us are deficient in iron. Totally. I use sarsaparilla, and I know he gonna get it this later, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. You don't need the iron that they're selling across the counter because that's what they call a phosphate. Phosphate. It's not a. It's the opposite.
Yes, ferrous.
of
Yeah,
what-
ferrous. Yeah.
Right. It's the opposite of the iron that you need as a human being. So, iron is one of the things that we don't even talk about, but you understand. When a woman get pregnant, what is the first thing the doctor put on? Iron pills. Because this is where we get all our information. It's just like a wire conductor that carries electricity. All information is carried through some kind of metal. You understand? And so iron is very, very important for our body. Dr. Sebi, that was his first chapter in his book. As far as when it comes to people of color, we are deficient in iron in North America. So go ahead, Mandre.
Okay, let's see. Is it necessary to eat after you work out? No.
I would say more depends. I know for me, there's a lot of times the last thing I want to do after working out is eating. I need that cool down time or just but what I will do, because I used to be pretty diligent about, making a protein shake or something like that after a workout. What I switched from the protein shakes to the aminos. So I used to take branched chain, and now I do the complete amino, has all 9 of the essentials in it. So I'll start sipping on that after my workout for a while, but I may not eat for an hour or two until after my workout because I'm just not hungry. I'm just not ready for that food uptake at that particular time. So, but again, it also depends on what's a workout. If you're talking about you went on a run, or you're on the treadmill or whatever, or were you doing strength training, weightlifting, bodybuilding type movements where you're breaking down muscle fibers. A lot of it depends on the activity. If you've done the catabolic, where you've broken muscle fibers down, then you definitely want to put the body in the state where it starts to want to repair itself. So again, the amino acids, they either come from eating, drinking them directly or through a protein shake or something that's a fast digestible protein you might want to consume shortly thereafter your workout, maybe within 30 minutes of it. But if you're just doing Pilates or yoga, or like I said, maybe a light run on the treadmill or stair climber or something like that, maybe not as much. You definitely want to stay hydrated, and you definitely want to, never want to have your body in a state of starvation at any period of time. But, a lot of people, to Mangel's point about the Planet Fatness, or sometimes you're at the gym and right next door is a Dunkin' Donuts. And I've seen people, you burnt 500 calories on the treadmill, and then you go next door and get one of those culottes that has 1,000 calories in it. So you just cost yourself 500 calories as soon as you leave. So again, sometimes proximity to things is sometimes what drives a lot of things as well. But definitely, so I wouldn't say it's essential, but a lot of it is going to be valuable based on what you're doing. But again, strength training, bodybuilding type stuff, weight training, something where you really exhausted the glycogen. Yeah, you want to put those back in fast, because otherwise your body can start to catabolize on itself and breaking down the muscle thermogenesis, glycothermogenesis, to break down the proteins and the muscle fibers, to use that as fuel to replace itself. So again, you don't want to put yourself into that state also. So just be mindful of what exactly are you doing, and then act accordingly. Or like I said, with all these things, we're talking about what is the outcome that you're looking for. I think has to be in everything, whether it be diet advice, post-training, whatever. What outcomes are you looking for? It's going to be different based on what you were doing prior to that.
Nice. And World Class says sarsaparilla is the highest herb, and it's the highest herb in iron, and very easy to get. Brother, we got to talk about your sentence structure, Mister. You don't understand parser and syntax, the etymology, the parser and syntax. Your sentence structure is today. You are off.
I don't.
Just saying, and this is being recorded.
I don't think you want to go there.
And this is being recorded, so I mean, I just say it. Listen,
I know you don't want to
this
go
is
there.
proof. Yes, I do. And listen, you didn't catch me with English problems ever.
Mandrell, you remember about 9 months ago?
I do not.
Something.
I don't remember that.
9 months ago, you did something, and I never let you live it down until about 6 months after. So I'm telling you.
What grades?
He says, "I'll just spray my
What grades?
my graze
What
with
graze?
acrylic." Exactly. What graze? Your balls. The balls skin likely. Now here's the thing, JSB. With this make my hair grow back.
Them are thigh marks. That he didn't lose his hair naturally.
Those are thigh marks.
He's out there taking a bite out of crime, but he won't never admit that. But anyway, do any one of you two gentlemen have anything like supplement or amino acid that can just kill love?
Kill love?
Kill love?
Yeah, I mean, just make love go straight out the head. Have y'all came up with any formula?
Amino acid?
Okay.
No, I have not. I'm sure you have one.
I know I don't have. No, I'm just saying. I've been looking. I think if you ever come up with that pill, because if it ever come across you, you don't want it to come across you, you take 2 pills and it disappear. You know.
Look, for a lot of us, we just look at our checkbook.
Oh, okay. So I know they do have meds to tranquilize you, but you don't want to be on tranquilize all the rest of your life. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, Mr. Etymology, parser, and syntax. Man, you done missed 2 shots today, brother. That's unlike. To be fair, everyone, that's unlike him. That's why I'm picking on him. But but yeah, JSP, did you want to tell people about how they can make their own supplements at home? Before we get to that, I want to add this. This is coming from Women's Health. It doesn't matter because it's health. These are some examples of complex carbohydrates. People, Jesus, look at me. Complex carbohydrates. You have bananas, millet, broccoli, chickpeas, carrots. Chickpeas. Yeah, I like chickpeas too. Carrots, complex carbohydrates. There we go. Old-fashioned oats, barley, sweet potatoes.
Never had spelt. Never had that.
Neither have I. There's spelt butternut squash. That's actually really good though. Butternut squash. Depends on how you cook it. Potatoes, yeah. Black beans.
And eat the skin. Just eat. Make sure on a lot of these things we lose out a lot because we don't eat the skin. Don't peel that skin off. That's where a lot of the fiber is, the phytonutrients, a lot of that stuff that's in the skin. Just make sure you wash the potatoes well, but make sure you eat that too.
Yeah, definitely. Whole wheat bread, whole wheat pasta. You know what? Here's the thing. I made a lasagna, and I tried whole wheat, the whole wheat pasta for the lasagna.
Mm-hmm.
And I used Parmesan cheese instead of the other cheese that people use. Man, you talk about delicious. The whole wheat pasta that made a big, made a big difference too.
I don't know how you can tell how it tastes with 3 chews and swallow, but go ahead.
I still got taste buds, old man.
Okay, all right.
Quinoa, brown rice, farro, lentils. Lentils are good too, and green peas. I eat green peas too. Yeah, green peas are good. Black beans are good. Lentils. Farro, never had that. Brown rice. No.
I gotta teach you. Wait a minute. Number one, I have to teach you how to really cook brown rice, and that's why you probably don't like it because
I use the absorption method.
You're right, but if I teach you how to do certain things to it, you'll really. it'll taste almost like if you ever ate like shrimp fried rice. I can teach you a recipe without the shrimp in it, but that's how your rice, it has that kind of like that aroma to it. So you'll like it that way. And think about it. See, this is the thing about it. I think when it comes down to food, people think food is kind of boring. Let's just be honest, people. The most of the food, okay, Francine, most of the food that you eat, it's the preparation of it. Your your taste come from that food. If you take any pieces of meat and just cook it plainly on the grill for all you meat eaters out there, then it's the recipe, how you put it together. And this is how I'm able to fool people with certain recipes, is because I use the same spices and stuff with vegetables that I would use with meat. And then you have that taste. And if you can kind of like duplicate that structure of what they're used to eating with that taste, then it's more like, if I had to eat salad every day as a vegetarian, I wouldn't be a vegetarian. I'm serious. I'm just being honest with you. I think I take a lot of time prep of my food to get certain textures. And when I put it in my plate, then I'm gonna feel like I'm eating a full meal, and it's just not all vegetables, because I know how to get kind of like the chewy meat texture. I'm not cooking your mushrooms too long. People cook them till they get soggy. No, you put them in last. And so there's a certain things once you start cooking in this way of cooking, or this way of steaming, or this way of, like, you can take greens and soak them in vinegar and you never have to cook them, and it has almost like a cooked taste. If you take greens and you use like hickory smoke and vinegar and let them sit overnight and come back the next day and get them room temperature, they'll taste just like they've been cooked. So I know you frown at Mandrell, and I understand, but a lot of food that you eat, bro, it's been swelling up your head, and I'm trying to make you settle down, because when you get older, people's head get bigger when they get older. Ears get bigger and the head get bigger and their feet get bigger. So I'm trying to save you from that discomfort of carrying around something that heavy on your shoulder when you get older, because you won't be picking up 700-800 pound wheels in the damn gym at 90-something years old. So I'm trying to save you from that discomfort of having that much weight on your shoulders all the time. If that makes sense.
A lot of those foods have probiotic and or probiotic fiber too. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Natasha.
Well, actually, the fiber foods, why you want it is because it's the fiber that feeds the
Yes.
healthy microbes. So again, this is the thing too. Sugar feeds sort of like the bad microbes of your body, that ghrelin that builds up in your system, but the fiber feeds the healthy flora in your stomach as well, which is another reason why, again, you want to be able to prioritize foods that are high fiber, low sugar overall. But one thing we also have to keep in mind, certainly before you go to your last segment, a couple points I want to make. One, we talk about these whole grain foods, and again, I fell into this trap for a while also.
Hmm.
A lot of times that idea of whole grain or complex carb, it can be taken to extreme. You still have to factor in glycemic load. See, a lot of times people talk about glycemic index when you strip the husk off of brown rice and make a white rice. White rice is actually the food that they use as the indicator for glycemic index, that reaction to when you consume it, and that sets the number. Like that number, I believe, is like a 100, and then all other foods that they compare to that glycemic index to determine what that number is. So it could be 85, 95, or higher, but that's like the white rice is like is the main metric. And so the glycemic index is more so your reaction, your body's reaction, how fast your body releases insulin in order to counteract that glucose once it comes into your sugar, because it's broken down, it's going to be more easily absorbable. But one thing you have to be mindful also is the glycemic load, because all carbohydrates, if it's not proteins or fats, all of them are going to turn into glucose. The difference is how fast it does it. And that's why the husks, for example, on brown rice, the reason why brown rice has a much more lower glycemic index is because it takes the body a much harder, longer time to break down that outer husk shell on the food to then get to the glucose, but it's still going to produce glucose. So one thing I saw myself, I got into, and I saw a lot of people doing is because it was whole grain or it came from all those foods that Mandrell listed, as if it gave you a license to eat a lot of it. You still have to pay attention to how much of these foods you're consuming overall. So I don't care if it's the yams, the orange yams, or the oatmeal, or the whatever. Too much of anything, your body is still going to can possibly take in too much glucose overall, not in an instant like with white rice, but overall. So eating 2 slices of brown of whole wheat bread, you're still going to have more sugar overall than the 1 slice of Wonder Bread. The difference is, again, the body's reaction time by the index. How quickly is it going to send insulin in order to try to process that? So don't go crazy even on the whole grains, thinking, oh, I can have a whole big bowl of brown pasta. No, you still need to use some moderation, especially if your goals are for weight loss or you want to control your sugars overall, your dependency on them. It's just a slower burn, but it's still a single out. So don't go crazy thinking, okay, because this is quote unquote healthy, that just automatically gives you a license to overconsume those particular foods. So I just want to throw that out there as well. You have to still use some moderation in terms of your portions. And just because it's good, again, too much of anything could be bad. Even water. I changed my views on water. I was like, back in the day, man, Joe, we used to go to the gym with a gallon of water. Yeah. Drinking 2 gallons a day. And I'm saying to myself, look, you don't need that much water. But that was the thing in our minds.
Yeah, same here. Same
gallon
here.
Of water, 2 gallons a day and 3 gallons a day. And that can get, you be washing out electrolytes. You're washing a lot of stuff out of your body if you do too much of it. So again, too much of anything in these spaces can be a bad thing for you. So don't let the fact that we're endorsing whole grains or these whole complex carbs that you can just eat as much as you want and not worry about weight gain or sugar problems or diabetic problems down the line. It may catch up to you one day or another. So I just want to put that out.
Also, some of the supplements. Wally asked earlier, would I like to share some of the supplements that I take? I do, and that's going to be a nice segue into Jay Speed and what he wants to do. But first, Ms. Goldker has asked a very, very good question. Are some of these foods healthy if they're coming out of a can? My answer, personally, is no. You want to avoid canned food as much as humanly possible, especially when it comes to your vegetables. And especially the meat. I've seen chicken in a can, a whole chicken in a can. Well, you could go right there to like the deli part and get a rotisserie chicken for $5 like $4.50.
You got a Costco. They got them giant burgers for $5.
Right, stuff like $5. You know what I'm saying? Just go get the cooked rotisserie chicken. Don't get the one in the can. Avoid canned foods as much as humanly possible. I know, like the peas and stuff like the sweet peas.
Yeah, most of the beans and legumes and whatnot come in cans.
Right, I know.
People don't want to soak beans because you got to soak them overnight, and then you got
I got black beans in my kitchen that I've been soaking since last night, and I'm going to cook them as soon as we're done this broadcast. I'm going to put them in that pot. I'm going to drain the water off and put them in that pot. Put the water in, and I'm going to season the water. And then once it gets to a rolling boil, I turn it on low and let it simmer for like 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? It's a big 2-pound bag too. Meal prep, people. It's important. Now,
go ahead.
Yeah, one supplement that I'm going to share with you is MK7. MK7, you can find this on Amazon. It's good for cardiovascular health. That's primarily, and it actually helps to clear out the arteries and clear out the your veins. Of if there's plaque in there, it helps to help flush that stuff out and get it out of there. People ask me about my skin all the time. Well, I've been taking this since I was 13. Yeah, 13. Vitamin E. Been taking vitamin E since I was 13, so hence the skin, ladies. Omega-3 fish oil. Take that. Vitamin C. I got this from GNC. Calcium. I'm not done. CoQ10. This is also good for cardiovascular health.
That is. Yep.
CoQ10 is very good for MK7. I just recently discovered, but CoQ10, I've been taking that for a while. Ashwagandha. This is good for anxiety, nerves. You know what I mean? It's called ashwagandha. You can find this not only in this brand. Don't buy if you can help it. Don't buy this brand. This brand is rather on the expensive side. I'll just try this company out to see what it is. But normally you can find this on Amazon for really good prices. Now here's the one that another new discovery. But I've done a lot of research before I tried it, and this product actually does exactly what I'm going to tell you it does. Well, the product is made from the same company, HTLT, but this one is called GO2 Max. And you don't have to get GO2 Max, but what you're looking for here is the main ingredient, which is called NMN. NMN. November, Mike, November. NMN. This one actually heals DNA because over time, as we get older, our DNA degrades. Especially if we're not active, especially if we're not exercising, especially if we're not eating right. But this actually heals DNA. Now, what I noticed first day I took it, because the big thing about it was how much it helps you with your cardiovascular performance. I was skeptical, but I said, screw it. It's like $30 for one bottle. Let me try that out, right? Tried it out. First day. Yes. Does exactly what it said it would do. Look, I mean, I was able to last a lot longer at a much faster pace than I normally go. And it's been consistent ever since.
Whoa.
Not with that. I'm talking on a treadmill or running outside, man. Going for a jog.
Make it plain. Make it plain.
I mean, yeah, it works there too, but shut up. Now, here's the thing, what you will notice. When you start taking this and you're consistent with it, NMN is on the expensive side, but that's because it's not easy to manufacture. And the FDA is trying to prevent people from selling it. Like if I start a supplement company, I can't sell NMN on Amazon, but I can sell it on my own website. I'm going to get a website that sells a couple of websites here that I know of that sell it. I'm going to post that in the chat. So if you guys want to check it out, you can. But NMN, that's the big one. Thank you, Natasha. She put the actual name for it in there too. But yes, NMN it's the bee's knees. It's where it's at. You want a good supplement, get that. But this is all the supplements that I take, people. I put them in plastic bags, one plastic bag per day when I meal prep. Yes, exactly, Quantum. FDA is the devil. Thank you, baby girl. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, but and the reason why the FDA is trying to they're trying to find a way to stop people from selling it, but they can't. So they just said, okay, you can't sell it on Amazon, and that's because this product NMN actually does work. It does what it's advertised to do, and they've discovered this now. So they want to prevent other smaller companies like myself or Mr. Bennett or J Speed from selling this, so that they can have the monopoly on it, and you can only get it from them through like prescriptions or something like that, something ridiculous like that. They've done this with other supplements as well. So it's not the first time they tried this. Luckily, good for us, they have not succeeded. If it's still around, when I get the finances to start a supplement company, I'm going to sell it myself because I take it, I try it, I believe in it. When you take it, you're going to notice that your nails are going to grow faster. Your hair is going to grow faster. It actually does heal DNA. It does. Your skin's going to clear up. I mean, you're going to feel better. I mean, seriously, you don't get as tired anywhere near as fast. Like my workout, like remember when I first started back working out, Mr. Bennett, I was talking about how my central nervous system just shut down.
Yeah.
One time, yeah. After I started taking this, no problems. Other than like normal muscle fatigue, but my muscles lasted longer. There's more stamina in them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it does what it says. It does what it says it does, man. I mean, it's actual. I keep talking about it because it's actually remarkable. It really is. Now look at it. Look at this one. Look at this one. Be skeptical all you want to. Look at this. Mandrell may suggest you consider magnesium to go along with your calcium supplements. They work in tandem. That's true.
Most I've seen have it. Cal Mag is like, you know, I've seldom seen the calcium without it. But,
this calcium has some in it too. Like the GO2 Max, this isn't the pure stuff. I'm gonna buy the pure stuff because this is cut with ashwagandha. But you know, as you see, I take ashwagandha on its own. You know, but it's the filler is ashwagandha, and ashwagandha everyone should be taking that anyway. But ashwagandha is good for anxiety, nerves. It's good for sleep. So try that out. And this NMN, I'm gonna go with the pure stuff next time. It's fantastic.
And I'm certainly looking forward to what OG is gonna share about the sub. But a couple points I just wanted to make on supplements, man. I certainly have my own stacks that I take as well. A couple things you definitely want to make sure. Again, not all are necessarily made equal, so definitely do your research. See if you can find independent labs and bodies that actually test supplements whenever possible. Because I mean, there have been stories. I mean, you know, through some major. I don't want to mention names because of the, you know, but there have been news that's come out about certain stores and entities selling supplements that simply did not have what they printed on the label in them,
right?
Whether it be from supplements to protein powders and the like. So you definitely want to take your time there. And I think JT made the point also. I mean, going to a store and just getting the 99-cent vitamin may not be the most ideal, but at the same time, the $100 vitamin, I don't know if that's going to necessarily do any better. So again, try to find that medium, certainly within your budget, and again, just do your research on stuff before you just go taking, you know, the advice of anyone. But you know, not everything cuts on the shelf, and OG also talked about expiration. You know, a lot of things are expired. Be careful of that when you get them. And I think one of the reasons I think we can possibly all agree on, as far as why the supplement route, because a lot of people say, I don't need to take supplements. I get all my stuff in food. So if I eat the right foods, then I don't have to take all of these supplements.
And it's like, no way.
You might be able to. Like, there's a community on both sides. I've seen people who are very diligent about what they put in. You know, certainly a lot of this is for convenience, and I think a lot of it also is to get the good without the bad. For example, I don't know, Mandrell, if you were ever forced to drink the omega-3 of the fish oil from the spoon, your mom gave it to you.
You talking about castor oil?
Or whatever it was. You know, but that's what I'm saying. So sometimes the pill form is such or when you took the stuff, you get that burp. When you burp, you're burping it up, you can taste it coming back through. So a lot of times with some of these foods, you know, a lot of times there's some things that you don't want that in a supplement form you may get without the benefit. So like garlic, for example, where if I eat the 5 cloves of garlic a day, I may not be the best person to be around, simply because of my breath and everything that would come from that. But the garlic tablets, I get the benefits. I get the allicin, you know, the stuff that's in the garlic without the negatives of it. Or if there's certain nutrients that I want in a concentrated quantity, I don't want to eat 10 apples to get the quercetin out of, or it's a tomato, get the amount of quercetin that I want out of eating 10 tomatoes. I want to eat 10 tomatoes a day or 5 apples a day or whatever. So again, they're not supposed to be replacements for food. Again, so these aren't replacements, but again, it's a supplement. Nothing, you cannot outlift, you cannot outrun, you cannot supplement a bad diet. You know, I think your diet overall, your base, your foundation, I think has to be fairly sound. And again, based on your lifestyle, based on your activity, your age, your sex, you might want to add these in, but no one's made the quote unquote magic pill that does everything for you. So you don't want to get into the habit of being so reliant on supplements that you start to neglect your health or think that you can take shortcuts to again a proper diet, sleep. Again, lack of sleep deprivation is going to catch up to you at some point. Sleep is, talk about anabolism. I mean, sleep is the number one anabolic, more so than protein or supplements or anything else. Sleep, making sure you get adequate sleep
Yeah,
is definitely something
definitely.
that you need to get in. So again, the things that are natural, we're not saying that you take these supplements and you can cut corners with all of these other things. But a supplement can certainly make a difference, or at the very least, just add some convenience where you're not chopping up a bunch of garlic every day or foods. You got the green blender and having those green smoothies every day, or however it is that you're trying to get these other things in. So supplements can help, but they can't replace. And again, do your research when it comes to brands and labels, and try to see what's out there, because there have been some brands that have been flagged by FDA, and I know they're not necessarily the most common players, but in those cases, I would definitely listen. If these guys are listing stuff on the labels and FDA is coming back and saying, "Nope, sorry, that you guys are listing stuff in your product, or you're spiking," you said that there was this. We'll talk about this. They talk about this protein spiking, where for all these supplement protein powders, they were putting, I forget they were putting this because the way they measure protein is by its nitrogen signature. And so what a lot of these companies were doing, they were using a cheap amino acid within the mix to increase the nitrogen profile of the product. So okay, if you're one scoop of your protein powder has 25 grams of protein, most of that was made up of this minuscule amino, but it wasn't the complete 9 essential amino acids that it was supposed to have. So again, there have been stories about that. You can certainly look those up, major news stories on companies that have done this sort of this nitrogen spiking, as they called it, to increase and improve the profile of the product, but it wasn't like the real product that you were getting. So with all of this, do your research and make sure that you're getting a quality. Yeah, I'm not here to endorse any brands per se. There's certainly ones that I use, but I'm not a paid spokesman for anybody. So the thing is, just be careful with that. But I think all of us would agree supplements can make your life a lot more easier and convenient than having to, again, eat 10 bananas a day to get the potassium that you need to fuel your runs or whatever. There's other ways you can get around that. So I just want to say that. Hopefully I set the stage for OG. If you want to share your recommendations and how you go about making certain supplements for your personal use, hopefully it help others.
Well, all right. A lot of good information there. I'm gonna start off first. The first number one is H2O. Before you start any of this stuff, you go have to have H2O. Now, see, this is the greatness of this. You got 3 different guys in 3 different age bracket, and it shows you whatever they're doing is working. You're not looking at some guys and this stuff today show you it's not working. I just probably come from more of the Son or the 10 Commandments when Moses brought them down. I signed them, so I come from old school. Okay, I come from that. The more I stay away from anything processed that I'm not processing, the better it is for me. All right, so that H2O is number one. Number 2 is I start everything off with a good cleanser. All right, trying to repair your body without your body being actually clean from the beginning of all the toxins, worms, and everything else that you have been ingesting this bad food all throughout your life. You got to start off with a clean vessel. So that's with anything. And I explain that to people by when you cook on a grill, after you cook on the grill for a minute or 2 or some, you look at it, it builds up carbon and all kinds of stuff from the meat and stuff and different things. And it won't even make the grill marks anymore. Most people say grilling is not good in the first place, but we go past that. So you have to clean that grill to get the presentation you want. Well, we clean our bodies once or twice a day. I hope people are washing their ass once or twice a day, but some people just don't, and that's understandable too. I just don't want to be around you. So we clean the outside, but we never think about cleaning the inside, and so that's why I always start off with a clean slate. Now, these are veggie capsules. They come clear just like this, and this is how I make my capsules. I start off with the veggie capsule. They do have the ones that's made from pork or beef or whatever, but I use the veggie capsules. And when I finish my formula or compound, they look like that, just like a regular capsule that you make. I use a very simple machine that costs you less than $15, and you can make, I think it's 25 at a time. I haven't looked at it. And I use the capsule machine, okay? You can order it from Amazon, and believe it or not, in about 15 minutes, you can make about 100 capsules. So you can put them in a bottle, as any other bottle. As I was saying, I have different formulas that I come up and I mix them and put them in a plastic bag. All my herbs and stuff come in raw form. I label them. I use all different kinds. There's a company I use, and if you want to, we can get Mandrell, put some of that in the descriptions, where you can order your, and it gives you the breakdown where it comes from, what region it comes from, because a lot of times herbals and stuff come from different regions, and it depends where it comes from. But I am truly with Dr. Sabi. These is all my herbals and stuff like that when I'm making my formula. I am a true believer, and I studied under Dick Gregory, Dr. Gross, and Dr. Sabi. I took a couple classes he gave while he was in California. I'm a true believer of him, his process. I look at all the other process, but the best cleanser that I ever ran into is called CKLS. You can put that in your, you can look it up. It's the best cleanser on the market by far. And I think it's less than $26, and it will probably last you for 2 years. And it's natural stuff that would hold its potent up to 2 years. So that's how I start off the cleanser. And then a lot of the things, like people who suffer from different ailments and stuff, and then this is for information only, that things that work with me. All right, so I know I'm on somebody else's channel, so I know how to direct my conversation, so it can't, I'm not doing anything I should be doing. But I have found out, and most people know, that I have people with drug problems and mental challenges in my house, over 32 now, and I'm getting another house with another close to 28. I deal with people who went through doctors and went through a lot of other different things, and by the time they get to me, they're so medicated and tranquilized that they're not even living. And there's so many things that you can use that is in natural form. No one can tell me, have they ever seen a bird flying into a GMC? If he did, he was probably had a broken wing and getting ready to die. What I say that to say this: bears, birds, everything else living eat off the land. And they have been around so long, they know how to cure themselves. I never seen an animal hospital built by anything in nature. Now humans do, but nothing in nature. They know how to take care of themselves. I take some things would probably make people just. Mandrell said early castor oil. I take things on a regular basis that is way worse than castor oil.
How do you do it?
In fact, it'll start up a lawnmower engine, the stuff that I take. But it's been.
How do you do it?
How do I do what?
Castor oil tastes like death. Castor oil tastes like death.
No, I don't take castor oil. I use the MCT oil. Either
Yeah.
I use straight coconut oil. I use one of them in my smoothie. See, that's how I get away. The MCT oil has a very light taste. If it tastes like anything coconut, and you can mix it in your smoothie, and you won't even know it. All right, so castor oil is almost like putting motor oil in my mouth. I know you got used to it.
That or mineral oil. That was another one.
Yeah,
My
castor
mom,
oil is just
my
castor oil is
mom used to make me
disgusting,
take a
man.
spoonful of mineral oil. Also back in the day. Either
Right.
one of those.
And believe it or not, reason why that stuff worked. I remember when I used to wrestle, and this guy used to take wheat germ oil, and he took it to lose weight, and it seemed like it would be the reverse. But that's what he used to take all the time to make weight, because we had to make weight on Thursday to be able to wrestle on Friday. But I say that to say this: there are so many natural things like walnuts. It's a brain food. Anybody can research it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
you
is.
see people talk about walnuts and they say it's shaped just like the brain. And
Yeah, I put it in my oatmeal.
yeah, so it is a good cayenne. Some of the things I will be naming will be hybrid, but it has a effect. It has property to give you healing effect. Cinnamon. There is
Yep,
a
I use cinnamon in my
a cinnamon
oatmeal.
can help you with diabetes, a certain type. Please do your research on that. And some people have totally reversed the diabetes, that form of diabetes. They're starting to take diabetes up to 3 and 4 and 5 now, because they're saying diabetes go way beyond the 1-2. You see, on the 1-2 punch or the 1-3 punch. So start doing a little more research on what they're saying. And that has a lot to do, and people say it don't, but that has a lot to do with our content. Let me say our absorption of a lot of sugars. You can abuse this body for so long, and sooner or later, it's go give you the results of what you did to it. So my number one is CKLS. Now,
CKLS.
yes. Now we got sea moss. I got so many bags here. We got sea moss. It has 19 elements of the things you need for your body. Anybody do your research on sea moss? There's so many different ways you can use it. Like me.
Yeah, I put it in my protein shakes.
Right.
I take about a tablespoon of it,
Right.
drop it in
Right.
my protein shake.
Well, I'm gonna give you another little method, because you get better results from it when you take hot water and let it sit in hot water till it swells up. Once it swells up, you put it in ice trays, put it in a plastic and in the freezer. And when you want to do your smoothie, you just drop 1 or 2 ice cubes in there. You see what I'm saying? And you're getting better. It's better. And that's just in general. You want to keep your herbal stuff fresh, put them in the refrigerator or freezer. It locks in. And so that's one of the secrets I've seen into locking in. Like a lot of the stuff I got right now, I pulled it out for the show, but I keep it in the freezer. Let me, like there's different, I have a thing that I'm doing for pain. I'm gonna tell you. You see that right there? I don't know if you can read.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mace.
So, mace.
Yeah.
Is something that your parents use every holiday to make pies and cakes, mostly pies. Nutmeg. Mace is nothing but the outer shell of the nutmegs. But I'm telling you, if you take it and soak it in alcohol, you put it on anything, within 15 seconds, it numbs it out. I got more to go to that form, and that's how good this stuff is. Like you have back pain or something like that, you take that stuff. I like when people come to me and they say, "Could you give me some? Could you rub my knee or my back or something like that?" And when they come to me, I have to put on rubber gloves, because if I don't, my hands gonna be numb for like 2 hours. You know what I mean? So I don't like that feeling. You know, it feels like, I don't know if anybody ever had any work in their mouth, they have their tooth worked on. They give them that Novocaine, and you feel like that swell. That's how your hands feel when you put that stuff on. So that is a
So is it
excellent
like
thing.
it's like a natural Novocaine then?
Yes.
Would you
Yes,
put in
it's
that
a
same category as
natural.
Novocaine? Okay.
It most certainly is. You
Wow.
know, most certainly it is. With that power, I couldn't see somebody shooting this in their blank, they veins. It would numb. I'm telling you, if you just get it and put it on anything, like people who suffer from arthritis and stuff like that, I take this and I mix it with MSM and mix it together and some vegetable glycerin, put it in the refrigerator. I have women that we have a pool called Jesse On Pool that opens up early in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, so people they swim on. It's an Olympic size. Matter of fact, the Olympic they used it for the Olympics when it was in California, and there's a lot of
84,
women, like
yeah.
45 women every morning, and there are some women who can't do high impact exercise, so that's why they're in water. And that's another thing too, people. If you find yourself can't do high impact exercise, please get a swimming pool, and you can do a lot of exercise in that swimming pool you would not be able to do due to the gravity and everything outside the water. But I gave this woman that formula, and she said she's been suffering with back pain and joint pain all her life, and that's the only thing that have worked. So
What do you put in those
I'll-
capsules?
all the stuff that I showed you from the beginning, like
Okay.
you take all this, you just take.
I just want to make sure
all-
everyone knows, like, you know.
Right. And
So what you got there?
We got a little sarsaparilla here, that iron I was telling you all about.
Yeah, sarsaparilla.
Um,
You mean the word that the world class are trying to making an attempt to spell
Right.
earlier?
Yeah, it comes green, but sometimes it might comes a little green brown. It depends when they harvest it. But it's the best source of iron. And I'm telling you, if you think iron don't give you energy, you got another thing coming. So I just
So you mean those Popeye cartoons were true?
what was that again?
Those Popeye cartoons were true then?
Oh, they was true, but spinach is. I mean, we've been fooled a little bit about spinach as far as the content of iron, but yeah, he was on to something. He was on to something. I don't know what Oliver had to have them two men fighting. But she had something
Yeah, much-
because there was fine women. In
Yeah,
that
much of a
cartoon,
body,
They didn't
so-
pay them no attention
Yeah,
at all.
at all.
And
Nobody.
Black walnut.
Black walnut.
Kind of like,
We got sarsaparilla. We have black walnut.
Well, let me tell you what black walnut do. This is for the
What it
ladies
do?
who might have yeast infections, anything. Black walnut is one of the best antibiotics on this planet. All right. So anything that you might be dealing with, that I will recommend black walnut. One of the bases of your formula, if you go put some stuff together. There's other things that, and you got to understand a lot of this stuff that I use, people know Nova slander.
Yeah. The ladies got his back today. The ladies got his back today.
Yeah, they're getting you back.
Look what he says to
This-
me.
Now, this is like this right here. Okay, the Vicks rub. See, this is what made our.
You put that in the
parents-
capsule too?
No, we don't put that in the capsule.
Oh,
Please don't
we
try
gotta
to-
be sure. You
please
got some
don't try
people
to
who'll
use
try
it.
that. I'm just saying.
Please don't try to use it for your love session neither, because it will put you and your partner and some mayhem.
At war. Your lady ain't
Oh.
trying to kill you. You do that.
right. So, but these things are good, like to rub in your chest, and when it get wintertime, and most people catch colds in the wintertime because they still drink a lot of cold food. They eating too much fat, starch, and blood. That's number one. So when the wintertime come, start eating more warm food. And that'll help you because what happens is your body drops the temperature a little bit in the wintertime. And then you constantly eating cold food, you're causing all that mucus to build up in your body that it just can't get rid of it. You put soup in the refrigerator. Everybody don't put soup in the refrigerator, and then you see that film on the top that has to be heated. And so think about that in your body. because of your temperature, you putting stuff, cold drinks. And this is why Asian people, I tell everybody, a good recipe for a healthy body is to drink warm beverages and meals, not cold beverages, because you're eating hot and then you're making it cold. Now it's going to take time for your digestive system to work properly, and now you might have some stuff in your stomach. It might be spoiling because it's been in there too long. Ladies, I hate to say this, but I got to say this. If y'all think it's natural to use the bathroom, number 2, every 3 and 4 days, that's not natural. All right? That is very unnatural. My sisters then went for a long period of time before the doctors explained to her that when you eat, and if you're eating a proper diet, you should be going to the bathroom an hour to hour 45 minutes later. Point blank. Now, you say, well, J Speed, my stomach is different size from other people's stomach. It may be because you may have stretched it out, but your stomach is the same size as your heart. Now, it has material to stretch out, but it's all together. So that's what I'm saying is when you fill up a glass of water, all right, and it's filled, the only way you can put more water in that container, it has to spill over or you have to pour it out. And that's what your body function is. When you eat food, that food that you had in there before should have been digested, and that new food should push it out. So that ain't cool when you go in the bathroom every 2 and 3 days, lady. And it ain't even cool if you're not going to the bathroom, if you're eating 3 meals a day and you're not going to the bathroom. Other than number 1, then you need a cleanser. And I'm telling you, when you use the CKLS for the first time, and I'm going to tell you how I use it. I know most people say, well, how did I use it when I get it? I use it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I take 5 pills the first day, 4 pills the next day, 3 pills, 2 pills, 1 pill, and that's the cleansing process right there.
Without any change to your diet. Are you fasting during that time, or just drinking water only?
They recommend you do it, but I tell people to get the cleanse. You really don't have to do it. You really don't. I mean, there's a cleansing process with olive oil and all, but I'm telling you, if you do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, when you do the first 5 and you go to the bathroom the first time, you gonna know that if anything was stuck in your body. And the reason why, it's gonna smell different than anything you ever smelled in your life. So please don't have your loved one to come in and participate. And what I'm saying is, you know, some people have loved ones come in while they're on their throne and have conversation. You don't want to do that because you'll never be able to look at her in the same manner if you smell that coming out of her body. Okay? So don't do that. I'm just telling you, word of caution, it won't smell like anything you ever smelled in your life. Not even at the zoo. Okay? So
then you can help the situation. Flush after every sortie, all right?
Right.
Sortie flush.
People, courtesy flush. We learned that in the military school. You do courtesy flush, all right? So, but anyway, in this matter, Mr. Bennett, courtesy flushes don't help. It sticks to the wall. So, but usually courtesy flush do work. So I'm telling you, when y'all get this stuff, the CKLS, not only are you going to cleanse yourself, but you actually going to lose weight. And the reason why I said number 1 was water, and I had to say it that way because when I say water, the people's like, what the hell is he talking about? That is some country-ass way of saying water. So I had to say water, put emphasize on it so it seemed like I'm smart. I usually would put on my glasses so I seem like when I'm talking about stuff like that, I seem to be more educated. But I'm not going to do that today. But anyway, what I'm saying, I find nutrition to be fun and not stiff. And as we talk more and more about this on Mangel's channel, people understand we can have fun talking about. I try to, in any conversation that I'm having, I try to have fun with it. And so everything don't have to be all stiff. And so you'll find out it's good to talk about our health because I'm going to warn you people. And I know people always say, here come that J-Speed Cleo coming out, but I warned y'all about the epidemic, the macaroni and cheese, when they throw that on you and they kept changing the cheese on you, y'all kept going to get the cheese solution for it. I warned y'all about that. The video's still up today. I did it way before it came out. It was called "We Go Talk About Health Today," because I knew something. The way things was going, something was happening. Again, we're about to come up to. People don't understand. We are just a couple months from another year. And it seemed like we were just popping firecrackers for New Year's just last week. So what I'm saying is, there are some things getting ready to come up. The planet is in a stressful situation now, and I'm speaking more of the people on the planet. You got things breaking out now that's gonna have great consequences. Food supplies and everything else. And what I'm trying to tell y'all is get your body together where it don't crave these things that you necessarily don't need. I think simple life is learn how to eat to live versus live to eat. You know what I mean? When you learn to eat to live, that's something totally different than what we do. We consume too much food. We just do. I eat one time a day, been doing it for 30 years. I know everybody else can't do that, but that's cool and fine. I'll eat nothing before 1 o'clock. I always wait after 8 a.m. to eat. I work to p.m. So I give my body a good enough break time. And you'll find out when you're overeating. I'm going to tell you why you can really find out when you're overeating. You find your sweet spot in eating food. You'll find out when you're overeating, you'll get tired right afterward. I mean, real tired. I'm not talking about just, yeah. So you will know where your sweet spot is. When you eat enough, it should give you energy. What happens is you put strain on your motor, your engine motor. That's the motor that you're racing everybody down the street with. What you just did was put 20,000 cement blocks in your trunk. And you got the same engine, got the same horsepower, but you see the difference of how the car is moving. That's what you do when you overeat. But if you put just enough fuel in that car and not the extra stuff, you'll see it charges that car and gives it power. You got to find, everybody has their own sweet spot. When I want energy and I'm doing something, I eat a cup of food of everything. It's just a cup of food. If I get 1/4 cup of that, 1/4 cup of that, that's when I want an energy charge. But if I'm just going to be around the house and then I'm going to go over that cup of food. But if you ever want an energy charge, do what I just said. Eat a cup of food, 1/4 for everything that you eat, and see the difference. Yeah, you go look at it and say, that damn J Speed, I'm hungry as hell. But after you get past you didn't eat, and buy smaller plates, people. Y'all are buying plates like you're buying car rims. 28, 28. I mean, and then you gotta fill it up to the max. What I did to start fooling myself, I bought smaller plates. And so when I did fill them up, it wasn't the amount of food. You need to get some sleep at night and tell her stop tapping you in the middle of the night, Mandrill. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of little things you can do. And them really 3 things, sarsaparilla, CLS, the mace, these are things that you can just have in your medicine cabinet. Start changing the structure of your medicine cabinet. I know it's more convenient. Y'all have turned food and supplements and amino acids and all these things into like 7-Eleven. You want the convenience. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying there's something spiritual when you make your own stuff. I'm telling you, it's just unbelievable. When you start making that's anything in life. When you make something, you have a spiritual connection with it. And I'm going to tell you just in general, ladies, men, they get the more joy out of life of what they create with their mind and produce with their hand. And so when you start to understand that, that's when your man is at his highest. When he's able to create whatever he can create from his imagination. Imagination is a lot better than facts and all these other things that we talk about, because imagination is not what is, but what can be. See, and so when you start, I know men and women are having this argument about you thinking logic. Logic is a key component, but it's on a small key component. Imagination is much greater than logic because imagination is what gives us all the things that we use. Somebody had to imagine. The first man who made a car never seen one before. You understand? The first man who invented the flight didn't see nothing but a bird flying, but he hadn't invented an airplane.
You talking about the Wright brothers?
Yeah, when they was bicycle.
Yeah.
And they came up with imagination. Well, wheels on the ground, we can fly in the air. So, but what I'm trying to say is, if we start to understand the importance of real food versus synthetic food, we're not cars, we're not machines. We are human beings, and we need to be eating more live food. We need to be eating more food more into the 7.0 or 6.9. I mean, just go get your this is why I get mad at doctors, because they don't check the pH balance a lot in our diets. And I can tell you, you know it, Mr. Bennett. Mandrill know this. You go to a swimming pool, why you think the lifeguard goes around and check? What do you think he's checking? Because he's checking a certain amount of something in that water due to the fact he know disease can't live in it. And as long as he keep that water up to that, disease cannot multiply in there. And that's what you got to do for your own vessel. You got to pull these things up so you at your highest, your God mind, your God spirit, your human God. And until we clean this temple, all the outside forces that we think we are connected to, it's going to be a mixed signal. It's going to be disturbed. It's going to be compromised until we get this vessel right. And the best way to get this vessel right is to consume what God has put here for all us to consume. Natural food as possible.
All right. Shout out to LGJ Speed. Y'all heard it from the man himself. Natural food makes what possible?
You won't get a big head like Mandrill.
Oh, okay, cool. You won't get a big head like me, he says.
Yeah.
And I agree with I would say much of what he said. My approach might be a little bit different, as I've always taken an 80% view. Because I know that just as human beings, just the way we are, I'm oftentimes accused for talking about compromise. But that's just what I found. This works for me. When you take a person who's been eating or maintaining a certain lifestyle for so many years, to then ask them to just do a total 180. So I've always tried to encourage people to take an 80% view. To say 80% of what OG is saying, absolutely. Eat one source food items. Moderation, eliminate sugars, eat more natural foods. But I do believe, in giving people rewards, in that, I think there are times, someone made a comment earlier in the chat about, how they've given up looking at food as I don't know exactly what she said, but something to the effect of she's
looking for food for taste. She's eating it for nutrition.
But that to OG's point about imagination, that's almost like the guy who goes cold turkey on something. And a lot of times that doesn't necessarily work. I mean, you can, in a lot of ways, no pun intended, have your cake and eat it too. To use imagination to come up with foods that taste better. Or in some instances, give yourselves the time. And I'll talk about that in a minute if you want, E-Man. Give yourself some breaks. Like, I'm totally happy. Anybody I've ever trained or ever worked with, and this is what I use myself. If you gave me eating clean 6 days, 7th day, eat whatever you want. Whatever you want. And a couple things that come from that. One, again, it makes those foods actually, in the minds of a person, taste better.
Yeah, it does.
So if you're eating stuff so much, it's almost like drug. It's like a drug. You find yourself you're getting less high from it, and you need more of it to get the same high from it. So, but if you put things in a way that is not even so much to the point of moderation, and say, hey, if you're gonna go out to eat, like I hate going out to eat with people on a Saturday night, and they're so concerned about what's on the menu. Especially if you've been good, if your diet's been mostly good all that time, I'm saying go ahead and order whatever you want I'm paying. Order whatever you want. Or on certain holidays. I mean, I do believe in food as a culture that brings people together. So again, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever you celebrate, whatever Eid for the Muslims or whatever that is, you've sacrificed so much during that time. It's okay to break bread and have and enjoy the bonding experience that you have with one another in these communal settings. So food is oftentimes what do that. You see that with these cultures, the Italian culture and certain, just cultures around the world. Food is a bridge builder that brings people together. So to be so hard, it's like, I can't eat that. I can't eat that. Again, too much of a good thing can be bad over time. So being so restrictive on food, you become almost like the food evangelist, where you're trying to convert all these sinners and whatnot from their practices as such, where you just become almost unpleasant to be around. It's like if someone who used to smoke all their life and now they stop smoking, which is great, but now you come down so hard on people that it just makes it unpalatable for them to be around you. So my thing is, do the right things most of the time.
Hey, Mr. Big,
give yourself some breaks. It's all right to have a slice of cake every once in a while. It's your birthday, it's your celebration. It's all right. Just get back on the horse. The problem is a lot of people, you get off the horse over the weekend and you don't get back on the horse on Monday. And then couple days turn into a week and 2 weeks and down the line. But that to me is a strong person, that I can go into a bar and have a drink without becoming an alcoholic at the same time. That's where it is. But some people find themselves, the people have to stay away from everything. A lot of it is out of a weakness because they know that if I be around it, I'm going to fall right back into what I was doing before. So for me, I've always coached this kind of balance that says, hey, the right things. Again, you're going to have a long life, but again, life is also to be enjoyed. And there's food that can be enjoyed and shared, and relationships built, and people get bonded on, and communities are built. So that's my only deviation. But OG, what you were saying, I like I said, I'm with you. And if someone wants to take that path to the nth degree, I'm not gonna say, hey, come off it. But for the person who's been in a totally different way, it's like, hey,
right. I get you. I get you because I couldn't go to them. See, what I found out in my life, especially in my family and a lot of other people after they observing them, that we have this addicted personality.
Yes.
And that's what gets us in trouble.
Yes.
Now, I will say that a lot of the festivities, my family, once I turned Muslim, they wouldn't even invite me. It's not that I was going to say anything. It's just me being there and what I represented with that bow tie and suit on, what made them, hide their pork chop under the plate. But what I'm trying to say is I stopped getting invited to parties. I stopped getting invited. I mean, they just clearly stopped inviting me. Well, a lot of them people are not around anymore, and I can't invite them anywhere. Right. So at the end of the day, and this is why I said at the beginning, you got three different guys here who has three different paths that they take, journeys that they take. And as you can see, it's working for each one of us, regardless of what path he takes or Mandrell takes, what path Mr. Bennett takes, or what path I take. You can see the results of what they do. And so that's why I tell everybody, you have to find your sweet spot.
Absolutely, you do.
And once you find your sweet spot in life, if you're a person who with addicted personality, and you used to be a drunk, then don't go and fill out for a job
That's right.
to be a bartender.
That's
It
right.
just ain't gonna work
Absolutely.
out.
Makes
And
sense.
if you was a whore like me back in the 80s, the last thing you want to do is let somebody kick your ass in a strip joint because it's gonna bring back all that kind of bullshit you used to do. So, just like I say, if Victorol is into what would be the outcome? What would be the outcome? You going to Mr.
Sure.
Bennett party and he has a nice layout of food and where humans are spiritually connecting, they're rejoicing, telling stories. That's not a bad outcome from that, unless one person get too drunk and have an accident. But I'm just saying, in general, for most of the people, you go enjoy that human experience, and I think more human experience we have on this planet is better for us all, because we are so into these devices that we are starting to lose human connection. So I agree with you 100%. In anything that you do, don't be a Bible thumper, don't be a food thumper, but when people are giving you advice and stuff like that about certain nutrition and stuff like that, just keep a little note. And so when you start feeling yourself beginning a little unhealthy, you always can go back to your notes and say, you know what, Mr. Bennett said this, or Mandrell said this, if I do this, you know what I mean? Start coming to this channel right here with a pencil, pen, and a notepad, because you'll be surprised how these things that we talk about will flare itself right in your face with, so fast that you be like, damn, what can I do? What I get when you start panicking? A lot of us use the doctor's office like we use our house. We got to stop doing that. There are certain things you can do for yourself. You can tell when that body is not, it gives you signs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just before your car run out of gas, Mr. Bennett, don't give you a sign and give you that pucker first, and then let you drive about.
I hope I'm looking at the red light that just indicated that came on
We
first
call
before I
that
get
the
to
idiot
that.
light. We call that the idiot light in California.
Well, a lot of
We call
idiots
that
out
the-
here.
Yeah. So when that car get to go, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got about a couple blocks and you need to get some gas. So Mandrell, so that's that. I think this is great advice that we giving people from 3 different perspectives, and I think everybody should find their own sweet spot, what works for them. You know what I mean? There's a difference between just regular nutrition and emergency. When your body get in an emergency where it has to be in a repair, there's certain things you will have to do. You will have to distance yourself for certain things.
Yeah.
But just in normal base, this body is put together magnificently. Did I say that right, Mandrell?
No, you did not. Magnificently is what you were trying to say.
Okay, I just needed for you to say it one time.
Not a problem.
Okay, but don't worry about it. I was trained by a white guy with one teeth, and he had a hard time pronouncing words, and he gave me that disease. I have all my teeth, but he gave me that disease. All right, so every once in a while, I'm one go slide through, and I'm gonna have to get you to back up saying I'm gonna have to get you to straighten it out a little bit.
No,
But
no
anyway,
problem.
this body is well put together, and we do a lot of abuse to it, and if we reset it, it'll go right back. Most of the time, there's nothing can't be cured as long as you're alive. Now, when you're dead, that's something else.
Yeah. Thanks. Y'all want to take on the last one? Evan's talking about fasting.
Yeah,
I'm
real
I'm,
quick. Yeah.
I'm embracing it a little bit. For some reason I started doing I guess what you would call the intermittent. Certainly, my first meal is usually about 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and then I eat all the way through until about 11, 12 midnight. So I have a window. So it's like at least like a 12 to 15-hour window where I'm not eating, and then I'll usually have 3 or 4 meals within that space. It's working for me. I feel good. I'm still strong, and I'm able to function on it. Am I completely sold on all the properties of the way it's been marketed these days, especially on the intermittent side? I'm not quite sold on that. But at the end of the day, to me, it's all about the trick of it, if you will, not to put it down, is it's just a way of caloric restriction. That if you eat within a certain period of time or whatever, you're going to reduce calories. The only thing that you have to be mindful of is when you do that is, like I said earlier, you cannot out train or out supplement or even out fast a bad diet. And E-Man, I know you're a Christian, so I saw this a lot. One of the reasons I stopped doing it myself, fasting, especially during Lent. I see a lot of people, they would lay off the foods, go sun up to sundown, not eating, lay off the bad foods and whatnot for that time. And towards the end of Lent, around Easter weekend, Easter Sunday or whatever, they say, oh, great, I'm going to go back to eating what I was eating before. And what happened was, yes, and they were bragging about, oh, I lost 30 pounds during Lent. And the problem was, what was that 30 pounds consisting of? They lost a lot of protein. They lost a lot of muscle in that process. So they set themselves up in a state where now they went back to eating the same foods they were eating before. They thought Lent was an opportunity. Okay, I'm not going to eat cake and cookies and pies during this period of Lent. Now Lent comes back, and now you catching up for all the time that you had off. Now you start going back to eating cookies and cakes and pies. But again, because of your lower body restriction, again, muscle in general is biologically expensive, meaning it takes a lot to build and a lot to maintain. And so when you go into a calorically restrictive state, it's the muscle that's going to go first, not the fat. So now you compromise your body at the end of Lent. That weight that you lost, a good portion of it was muscle. Now you're trying to build it back. Again, you can't build back muscle by just eating to gain it back. If you're not training, if you weren't eating the proper protein, if you weren't in a way to had a diet during that period of Lent or fasting that was muscle sparing, you're not going to maintain that muscle. So now your body's at a lower metabolic rate, basal metabolic rate. And so the foods that you're eating, you went from 1,500 calories a day up to say 2,500 or 3,000. Much of what you're going to get back is going to be in the terms of fat, more so because your body's been used to operating at that lower caloric rate. So now you're going to have, so most of what you're going to gain is fat. And I've seen it time and time again, people coming out of Lent by Memorial Day, by July 4th weekend, they're blown up. You lost 30, but you gained 50 back. That rebound from that, because again, you didn't make any changes to your diet overall. You just delayed it, and then you tried to make up for it at the end of the Lenten process. So again, people, you have to look holistically at this whole thing. What is your lifestyle? What is your diet overall, whether it be Lenten season or not, or even when you do intermittent fasting? Even when I do intermittent fasting, I still got to meet my macros. So for me, there's a certain amount of protein. For me, I'm 6'3", 225. There's a certain amount of proteins that I want. There's a certain amount of fats, and for me, I'm one of those low carb guys. I don't eat a lot of carbs during the week. So, but there's a certain macro profile that I maintain to maintain what I want. I like being 225. I don't want to be 185. So, I mean, this is good for me. I'm strong, and I'm, it works for me. But so you're going to have to work that out. What is your life going to be looking like 24/7, 365? How do you want that to be? If that foundation is not strong, and you then decide to go off on fasting or diets or whatever the methodology is, you could be doing a lot of damage to your body overall. So again, start foundationally at what works. And again, if you build it up over time, you can get like an OG who, like I said, eats once a day, and it works for him and the lifestyle that he has. But for people who just pick it up and say, okay, I'm going to start eating once a day, that may slow your metabolic rate down to such an extent that any deviation from that, again, your body wants to rebound because you've shocked it in such a way where it wasn't used for it. It needs to be done thoughtfully, but you need to be looking at your diet overall, not just this idea of just restriction, just to see that you're going to get a certain outcome. So yeah. that's my 2 cents on fasting. And man, you can take it on.
Fasting. I don't fast, but I like to keep my diet regulated. You know what I'm saying? Breakfast at this time, protein shake at this time, lunch at this time, protein shake at this time, dinner at this time, right? And I try to stay as accurate with the timetable as possible. You know what I mean? I'm operating at a caloric deficit right now, but I get the macros that I need. I make sure I get the macros and micros that I need. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing. And when it comes to building muscle, when I get back to that part, I'm still going to eat clean. I'm still gonna like because I do the same thing like you recommended. Like you recommend people eat good 6 days a week. The seventh day, I don't go crazy. I might have a pizza.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But the thing about that, the reason why I also do that is because you won't go crazy because you don't require as much.
Exactly. You know,
one slice of pizza could be enough. Whereas before, if you were eating it all the time, you might have needed 3 or 4 slices to get the same high. It's like I said, it's like that high.
Right.
If you're on drugs, you're going to need more of that drug in order to get the same effect. So I need more and more of it. But again, you find yourself it's like, oh, I don't need a half a dozen donuts. One is enough, and you go with it.
Yeah, and the thing is, this E-Man, you got to keep. Yeah. This is going to be a discipline thing for you. And the discipline comes in making sure, even if they put it like I have my meals on my calendar, like my meals, workouts, it's on my calendar, so I get alerts on my Google Watch, on my phone, my computer. I get alerts, on all my digital devices. Bling, lunch in 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Bling, then it gives you another reminder. Bling, lunch in 10 minutes. So I'll just keep in mind that, okay, well, this is lunch in 30 minutes. Okay, let me go start cooking. You know what I mean? So like from 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. That's when I get my alerts from Google Calendar. So try that out, E-Man. Like try actually scheduling your meal.
You need to treat so basically you need to treat it like your business.
Yeah, basically.
Like the food, also what to eat during that time, just like you put it into your business calendar. That's a business meeting. That's a business function because that is going to keep E-Man on task for his other business ventures. So you need to invest in your body the way you do in your business life. That they shouldn't be separated from one another because without the man, nothing else matters.
What you got, OJ?
My approach is again. Like Moses coming down with the 10 Commandments. It's a little old approach and it has stood the time, okay? What I tell people in this time, in this world, the best thing you can do as far as fasting is very important for me. I wish Mandrell had pulled up my video from I think 2 years ago I did a fast. You can't tell me I look a day over 30, bro. And I'm
is that the one you was playing basketball?
That's standing there talking first.
And
basketball then. Yes. So I know it worked. It ain't just work for me. Dick Gregory used to drink 2/5 of liquor, 4 packs of cigarettes, over 300 some pounds, and you see how he got himself down. But what I'm saying is, in this day and time, I think your best approach you have to get with somebody who, like anything else in life, who knows about it, who has to coach you through it. You understand what I'm saying? Until you get it down. See, the number one thing, if y'all had been listening to me, I said was water and cleansing. See, you got parasites in your body and worms in your body is craving that food, bro. That's the biggest thing I find of people when you stretch your intestines out and you stretch things down, but you got these parasites in your body that's craving certain chemicals because that's what these parasites are doing. It's not so much you, but it's part of your makeup now. So when you have a person who can walk you through to have you cleanse this vessel of yours and then make you understand what you're doing versus, I'm saying denying you of food, you come with a different spiritual understanding. It makes it much easier for you to follow the blueprint. Because fasting is nothing other than breaking your fast, the first food you eat, from not eating at a certain period of time. That's where the word breakfast come from. Break fast. Because when you sleep, I hope there are not too many people who sleep, walk, and eat at the same time. But most of the time when you sleep, you're not eating the food, so that's where the word breakfast come from. Breaking fast. So I come from the approach that you can listen to Mr. Bennett, you can listen to Mandrell, and it's going to work fine for you, especially if you don't have nobody who's helping you along the way. You have to take these two gentlemen's approach because you have to find your own self. But it's just like anything else in life. When you don't know something and you are getting into mysterious places and thoughts and and everything, you actually have to get with someone who can say, hey, look, man, you gonna feel bad today. Like, why you mean I'm gonna feel bad today? This is your 4th day of fasting. You go be craving this and craving that, and I'm gonna tell you how I got through it. I started walking. Like, when I got that feeling, I started walking. Then I came back. I started doing some projects that I've been putting to the side for a while. Start getting invested in something different to take my mindset. You're going to have someone who's going to tell you how that process go feel for you. And then that's when you get the understanding of the confidence to go through it. And one thing I know about water and fasting, and nobody has ever been able to prove me wrong, when you water fast, you don't get the loose skin. That's what people want to, like, when you try to go and starve yourself of food and you doing the exercises and whatever. Look, I can take anybody and give them a 6-pack if I can get that fat off their stomach. If I can trim down that, everybody got a 6-pack. Some got 8. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just you get that layer of fat over your stomach so you can't see it.
Right, that ain't hard to do. So what I'm saying is, whatever method you decide and you find out that I'm not disciplined enough to do it on my own, just get in touch with Mandrell and he can give you my number and we can go start off. We'll start off slow with it, bro. It won't cost you anything. I've been doing this for 40-something years. I never charged anybody with anything. I can get you the right products to go take away that craving for that bad food. That's where most of your falling off the wagon go come from, is the parasites and stuff.
Because the second you start back eating sugar, ooh, right. It might be that because I've gone without sugar for 4 months at a time. Like when I'm in training, it's 4 months. I don't eat sugar, like processed sugar. You know what I'm saying? I may have some fruit later on down the line, you know, at the tail end of the training time. But things are way sweeter than I remember them when I start by eating sugar. You know what I'm saying? Like even fruit is a lot sugar. It's a lot sweeter. But we're gonna close this out. Before I go, I want to hit this question. What do you all with about Atkins diet, keto diet, and organ diet? Listen, Atkins diet, no, never. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. Don't bother. Don't waste your time. Keto diet, you can do that. However, you have to be way too strict and disciplined. It's too easy to fall off of it. It's too easy for people to fall out of ketosis, for my taste, personally. But I tell people if that's what they want to try, go ahead and try it. Fair enough. You know, organ diet, I mean organic. If you talk about an organic diet,
organ meats, eating the calf, the liver, the heart.
I mean, yeah, as long as you're not eating the entrails.
Well, it's interesting. Well, it's because I think a show you did.
I don't eat liver at all, though.
A couple of shows ago, when we talk about testosterone and steroids and that sort of thing, a lot of the early products that they came out with, like in the late 1800s or whatnot, a lot of that was based on those organ meats. They thought the consumption, and even those 70s bodybuilders, Arnold and alike, that they would eat a lot of those organ meats to get, I guess, extra testosterone or extra.
Yeah, like the Liver King and all that. Yeah.
So,
don't do not. If it's something, if anyone suggests you eat that stuff raw, like Liver King was, number one, no. Never eat raw meat. I eat my steaks medium or medium rare sometimes. You know what I'm saying? If it's well seasoned, I eat it medium rare. But most of the times I get it my steak medium, and that's the raw. So I get chicken, I cook all the way. Fish, I cook all the way. But no, do not walk around here eating raw meat. If that diet is implying that, no.
Mandrell, you have to put the disclaimer now, bro, because you know there's people do a lot of stuff in their bedroom, and you don't want to mess up nobody's marriage or girlfriends. Okay, so put a disclaimer when you start saying stuff like that, bro.
Yeah, disclaimer. I'm talking about health related issues, about a diet, specific diet that someone in the chat asked about. But well, thank you very much. But that's gonna be our show. Y'all want to give final thoughts? Y'all want to go ahead and close it out?
I think we already did it.
Yeah.
I think so. I think great show. And again, there are, as OG was saying, there's a lot of perspectives. But again, we are a diverse population of people, and anybody, you can look up any YouTube video and people swear by their results. And again, how can I argue with that? So Mandrell, you were talking about the Atkins and the keto. Look, I can't mess with those people. I'm a little more embracing of those than you may be, but I can't disagree with someone's experience to say, well, it worked for them. And I think you'll find people throughout something that they did that worked for them. I can't disqualify your experience. It's almost like the G spot, Yeah. There's no biological G spot. Like there's no organ in the body that says there's a G spot. But women swear there's a G spot.
Yeah,
but you will not find it. It's not there. But I treat it the same way like a UFO. If you said you saw a UFO, I can't argue with you if you saw a UFO. Now, I may not believe that there's little green men running around, but I'm just saying I can't deny your experience. So for people who've had success in these ventures, it might have worked for them in their lifestyle and situation. Again, supermarket approach, take it all what we're trying to give. That's worked for us, but you have to craft your own. Like Bruce Lee always said, absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, absorb what is essential as your own. You have to do that all the time in everything that you do. So that whole philosophy is not just in martial arts, but it's in everything.
Right. And speaking of the G spot, he is totally correct, because I have shown women that you have a G spot on your elbow if you can make a person believe that. And it's a great technique. And anybody want to find out about that technique, get in touch with Mandrell. And I do want to say this, Scam Likely is one of the most healthy people on the internet. He takes very, 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 but he goes off his diet sometimes, but he stays with his program. And I've been working with him for about a year now, and he'll tell you there's nothing I prescribed for him to take. It didn't work to benefit what he was trying to max out. And so he is a person I gave the CKLS. He called me a couple of days later and told me some shit. And I shouldn't even use this word shit. Even when it's not a laxative.
No pun intended.
It's a cleanser. But anyway, Mandrell and Scam Like, we talk to each other weekly, and we discuss. As this show, we discuss nutrition and everything else, but mostly that's what we discuss, because I think all of us are health nuts. Even Mr. Bennett himself, we are health nuts, but we want professors.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Even Mr. Bennett?
Yeah, he's a.
No. Because
he's a boxer.
No. I don't want nobody to think you was a nut when you come from that generation when people put nut behind anything they think you're crazy. So I wanted you to be the sanest one on the panel today, because I didn't want to slide at that head on you. Somebody walk away think you should be institutionalized. So, but me and Mandrell, they know, and Scam Like, they know us three should have been institutionalized a long time ago. So I use that word nut very lightly when I'm respecting you.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate it, brother.
All right.
All right, people. That is our show for this week. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining me again. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's show. I hope you learned a lot. And tune in next time. See y'all later.
Peace.
Your kung fu is pretty good. Kung fu is pretty good.